You good?
26 teams began their journey earlier this year, but now after 320 matches throughout almost 7 months of brilliant football, all roads have led to this one day in September, with only 4 sides remaining. Today, 2 of those sides will put their name into Victorian football history: Preston, Heidelberg, South Melbourne or Oakley, who will finish their story this Saturday afternoon. Hello and welcome to the home of Matildas in Melbourne's North for today's 2024 NPL Victoria Grand Final doubleheader, brought to you by Chenol. My name is Nick Tabano and I'm joined here by Pakua Frimpong on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Pakua, it's going to be a fantastic day of action.
It is going to be a fantastic day of action, Nick, and if the weather's anything to go by, we're in for an even better day, and I'm really excited to be here at the home of the Matildas and talking some NPL Victoria football.
We're previewing both matches, both grand finals, of course, that kick off at 3:30 and 6 p.m, and of course bringing you updates as well from the final day of Men's State League action. And to kick off the broadcast, we're now joined here by Executive Manager of Football Operations at Football Victoria, Dan Birrell. Dan, it's great to have your company.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Pakua. Lovely to be here. I couldn't say anything more on what you've both said about how fortunate we are. The weather has turned up for us. The facility looks immaculate. The pitch looks like grandma's carpet. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. So can't wait to see the football.
Dan, it's a big day of action. All roads have led to this day. Double header today, I guess. Take us through what's been a big 2024 at Football Victoria.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, it's funny reflecting on numbers and 26 teams, obviously 14 and 12, but then we look across broadly the state. There'll be 30, 40, 50,000 participants still in action today across our men's state leagues, our juniors. But all paths led to today. All paths lead to Rome, or in this case, home, and home in the Matildas. And we're just excited about the 4 teams that have qualified for the finals. I think all 4 play a really different but exciting brand of football. In the women's, we've obviously got Preston, who finished the season in second, who look fantastic. Heidelberg overcame, obviously, the premiers last weekend, which was fantastic. And then into the men's, I don't really need to introduce those two, and I'm sure you will as well. They're familiar foes, so we're excited to see what happens.
And in coming up with a day like this and making sure everything goes smoothly, how's your day been in terms of feeling about the atmosphere?
I said to someone last night, for me, and for anyone who knows me or has spoken to me about it, for me, I'm like a kid on Christmas last night. Like, I couldn't sleep. I didn't go to bed until the early hours of the morning. I can't wait to be here. I was up at 6 and already thinking about bits and pieces. But to the organisation and everyone that has everything to do with organising today, the team, we've got an NPL Advanced team specifically that do operations, but to our media team, to our commercial team, to finance, and to everyone in the organisation, we've got 50 plus staff here today. We've obviously got an immense amount of support from contractors and food and beverage, security, cleaners, everything. But to pull it all together, we just can't wait for it to kick off. We're just so excited to be here.
Tell us about this brilliant facility, Dan. I mean, this is the second year we've had a grand final here. Of course, we had the women's grand final here, but the first time having both here. We had the cup finals here earlier this year. It's a fantastic facility. I mean, now we've got the temporary stands and everything. I mean, it's great to have this sort of home of football here.
Yeah, it is. I'm a little biased, and so I should be. I wear blue, but for me, I made the move down from Queensland, as I tell everyone, in the last 18 months, and I genuinely stayed because of this facility. I love working here. I love coming to work. So do all the staff. But in terms of what it can produce for football, it's a truly, and one of the only in Australia now, football-owned assets. This is our home, and this is the home of Victorian football. And what it allows us to do is to platform that into government and have conversations about what we rightly so deserve and what we want to see happen. But we've got obviously 5 pitches. Pitch 2 almost completed now, so it's about 4 or 5 weeks from completion. But we've obviously got the show pitch here, and the surface, as I said, looks great. Temporary grandstand adds that nice little close and polish. We're looking at options, obviously, to keep that in the longer term as well. And then this allows us to, as I said, go to government, go to La Trobe, and have further conversations about what the next phase looks like. And all of the players love playing here. Ask a player whether they enjoy being here, and they think it's state of the art.
Well, Dan, time for us to let you go. I mean, before you go, give us a quick prediction. Who do you think?
No, you can't.
Today?
I love that you put me on the spot. No, I'm going to play the political line. I just want to see 2 great games of football, and I know all 4 teams are capable of that. I want to see 5,000 plus spectators. I want to see them enjoying themselves, and I want to hear the feedback and everyone to love being in the sunlight and have a great day.
Well, Dan, thanks again. Enjoy the day in football, I guess.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Pakua. Lovely to be here.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you very much to Dan Birrell joining us on the broadcast. Of course, throughout the day, we'll also bring you updates from the remainder of the State League games, which, of course, kicked off at 1 p.m. Pakua. It's been a big day. It's not just the grand finals. Teams from all around the state finishing off their season.
Nick, that's why I say the NPL Victoria is the biggest competition in the Southern Hemisphere. The action never stops, and those state leagues, there's lots of permutations about who will go up, who will go down, but it's really exciting day of football.
Of course, as we mentioned, Pakua, 4 teams are remaining, 2 grand finals. First up, Preston Heidelberg at 3:30. But we'll start off with the men's grand final that kicks off at 6 o'clock between South Melbourne and Oakley. Here's how they got there. Fourth meeting between these two teams this year. Every single time they have played against each other, they have been absolute thrillers. We've only had one winner in actual 90 minutes, but of course the last time these two teams played here, that very, very memorable Doherty Cup final.
It was a really memorable Doherty Cup, saw a red card in there, went to penalties. It was everything that you want from a final, and that's exactly how I'm feeling about this one here at the home Matildas. Feels like deja vu, but it feels like the two right teams and two teams that we know are capable of playing some really excellent football.
Well, South Melbourne, of course, booking their place in the grand final with a 1-0 win against Hume City. Oakley getting the job done 3-0 against Avondale. But as we mentioned, 3 very, very tightly fought matches this year, Pakua. 0-0 at Jack Edwards Reserves. Oakley did get a 2-1 win at Lakeside. And then, of course, South winning 5-4 on penalties here in the Doherty Cup final. But 2 matchups in particular that really stand out. This one's not really too much of a matchup. It's more the players who we think could be those match winners. Harry Sawyer for South Melbourne and then Joe Guest for Oakley. 2 of the best in this competition has to offer.
And there's nothing more you really can say about them. I'm going to try my best. Joe Guest, such a great creator in the midfield, been such a mainstay in that Oakley side that have been so good in recent years. This is their second final in 3 years, and South Melbourne 3 finals in a row now. And Harry Sawyer, he's back and he's fantastic and he's scoring all those goals. And up top, it's all about stopping Harry Sawyer for Oakley, and for that midfield with Joe Guest there. Oh God, I would be terrified I was out there this week today.
We all know about Joe Guest's left foot, so wicked. But of course, joining Harry Sawyer on that golden boot podium was Alex Salmon this year, who of course is going to be a handful for the South Melbourne defenders, the likes of Marko Jankovic and the reigning gold medalist Jake Marshall. It's another fascinating matchup at the other end.
No, it is. And ever since Alex Salmon has come in, he's been such an important and pivotal part of this Oakley side, and allowing them to have multiple options up the top as well is always the benefit for this Chris Taylor side. And I think for South Melbourne, they look and say, you know what, we feel pretty good. We've got a lot of goal scorers up the front as well, and they're such a good football team.
Well, now let's hear from Harry Sawyer, who caught up with Football Victoria earlier this week.
Harry, you had to do it the hard way on the weekend against Hume. When you get to full time, you've had a mate sent off, you're down to 10, you've got 30 more minutes left to play at 0-0. What's going through your head in that moment?
Probably a bit of here we go again. Did it against Oakley as well a few weeks back. It's been a bit of a common theme in the Australia Cup as well. We played Olympic in extra time. So it's coming a little bit more comfortable knowing that we can do it when our back's against the wall, so it's not a bad thing.
What's the emotion when the full-time whistle goes and you have got that win?
Elation, joy. You work so hard all year to try and get to these games that are coming up at the grand final, and you put so many hours of work and training with your teammates to try and get to this game. So when that whistle goes, it's a bit of relief.
You're back here at the home of the Matildas, as you say, just after a month against Oakley in that Doherty Cup final. What lessons do you take out of that game moving forward?
It was a tough game for both teams to go to extra time all the way to penalties. You probably look at how the game panned out, and it's a bit of a battle. So you try and pick out where you could have kind of taken it to them a little bit more, and where they hurt you at times, even though it was 0-0 at full time. There's still little bits and pieces you can take out of games because they're so tight, so every little detail matters.
You haven't managed to get the job done over Oakley in regular time throughout the whole season. Is that of any concern?
No, because this game can go to extra time as well, so we're pretty comfortable. But, it would be nice to do it in 90 minutes. That'd be a good thing. But no matter when the full-time whistle goes, I reckon we'll be competitive for it. Yeah.
How's the squad looking fitness-wise? Obviously, you were forced into a pretty early substitution in the semi-final.
Yeah, everyone's fit. Everyone's fit and ready to go. Obviously, Andy got sent off, so unfortunately it's a tough thing kind of making that sacrificial challenge in the game, but everyone else is good to go.
2 pieces of silverware so far for South this season. You got the grand final and you're into the quarters of the Australia Cup. Do you feel like you're on the verge of something special with this team?
Definitely. In the midst of it. I mean, we won the premiership already and won the Doherty Cup, so that's 2 from 2 possible trophies. So we're raring to go, and 2 from 2. So you've got to be happy with that.
When you walk out on Saturday, what are you looking for from your teammates?
The same thing, nothing different. Every game we've been, battling for each other and working hard, and no one player or not one name, gets void of that. Everyone has to work hard. That's our kind of team energy. We try and get behind each other and work as hard as we can, because at the end of the day, it's probably what's gotten us a lot of points, is working for each other.
Good luck.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks again to Harry Sawyer for taking his time out during the week to preview the big game. But of course, throughout the day, we're going to be joined by club legends from all the respective clubs. And first up is former South Melbourne captain Brad Norton. Brad, welcome to the home of the Matildas, mate. It's a big day. It must feel a bit strange now, not being out there after being in the last 2 grand finals, but now being able to watch on as a spectator.
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks for having me. Absolutely, it's a strange feeling to be back here. I only played 1 game here, but in terms of just watching South Melbourne, been able to get to a few games this year, which is awesome. But yeah, the club itself and watching them on and seeing how well they've done for the 3rd consecutive year. Another grand final. Hopefully we do differently to the last couple of grand finals. But it's an awesome feeling. I know what the boys will be feeling right now, and that excitement, elation, trying to get out there. You just want to play. So good to be back, and hopefully they get a win.
For you, Brad, have you been speaking to any of the players ahead of this game, talking through them? Obviously you've been at the club for so long. Have you had a word to them before the game?
Yeah, absolutely. I still speak regularly with a lot of them. I mean, only a year out, not even 12 months out, so still keep in contact with a lot, and including Esteban too. We had a great relationship there. So, yeah, I mean, they're all excited. They can't wait. Like I said, they're sort of been on the big stage now for a couple of years in terms of grand finals. So they finally got the grand final win in the Doherty Cup, which is great. So now it's just a matter of trying to do it for the league, and this is the one that the club's wanted for a little while now. So couldn't do it last couple, so looking forward to this one.
How much would it mean for them to lift the championship this year? Because, as you mentioned, the last 2 years you were involved in those grand final defeats where, things, of course, didn't pan out in the way you would have hoped, but now having the opportunity to set that right today. Yeah,
mean everything. Like I said, for this club, it's a big club. They've been on the big stage now for such a long time, and they want to get back to that, and they deserve to be back at the highest possible level. So they want to be involved in grand finals, and you've got to win them to be really noticed. No one really remembers the loss, but you remember when you win, and they've got the championships under their belt in the past. So now it's up to these players and this coaching staff now to really drive today. And I think you've seen it this year. Just they've been able to bounce back constantly, beating Wellington in the cup. Like I said, the Doherty Cup win. So I think they're ready for it. And yeah, as a club, even as a former player now, I'm still heavily involved around the trap. So I can't wait for them to hopefully lift the trophy this time.
Brad, obviously so much history with the club, and still talking to a lot of players. What do you think is the key for South Melbourne to get the win this afternoon against this Oakley side, who they're so familiar with?
Probably me not playing, mate. Might be a good one. No, look, I think Esteban's just got them so well drilled at the moment, and I think you can see by that never say die attitude with this team that they just constantly are just bouncing back, and it's a close group. Now there's been a few players that have been around together for a little while, and like I said, we sort of learn every year, and this is inclusive of Esteban, learn every year about your losses and how to sort of go about it again the following year. So I know that they've prepared a little bit differently to previous years, and I just think once they get on the park, this team, they're just defensively so strong. Then boys up top like Sawyer, Bernardo this year, they're just scoring for fun. So I think this is their year, but I don't want to speak too soon. We said that last year.
I mean, two of the players, well, one that won't be playing, that one that should be coming, you'd expect will be coming into the starting lineup. Andy Brennan obviously suspended. Max Mikler coming in, did score the winner last week. I mean, you played with the both of those. I guess, first of all, tell us what sort of loss it is not having Andy available, but conversely, having someone like Max to call on today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Andy, he's one of the players I speak to quite regularly. He's just not even just around on the field, but also around the change room. He's a massive personality and someone that really sort of drives the high standards that the club sort of pushes forward. So to have a leader like that, not on the field, and he obviously captained a game a couple of weeks ago now, not on the field, is obviously a great loss. And, you know, I'm sure it'll be felt, but then, as you just mentioned, having the likes of Max come in, he's one of the most talented players I think I've played with. And, you know, when he first came into the league, he was the number one hot property, and he still is. He's still up there with that. So, you lose one, but like you said, you gain that Max Mikler in. So I think they'll definitely, you know, he combines really well with Sawyer, he combines really well with Bernardo and that. So I think, yeah, hopefully Andy's not too much of a loss with Max coming in, yeah.
Well, Brad, thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy the afternoon, enjoy the night as well, and hopefully, for your sake as well, South Melbourne are crown champions.
That's it. Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Thanks again to Brad Norton for joining us. But now let's have a look at the Oakley perspective. Oliver Kubalay caught up with Football Victoria earlier this week.
Thanks for coming, Ollie. How are you feeling ahead of this week's match?
Yeah, we're really excited. Obviously a big win on Saturday against Avondale, and we all performed really well. So, yeah, we've been eyeing this one off since the start of the season, obviously, to get there. So we're here now. We'll enjoy the week, kind of take it day by day, and then really prep for Saturday.
How have you found yourselves juggling Oz Cup, Doherty Cup, and league matches, and then obviously find yourselves in the grand final? How have you got here?
Well, like I said, it's something we've wanted from the start of the season, to be in all the competitions we can be. We obviously fell short in the Doherty Cup final to South, but we wouldn't rather anything else than to be playing 2 games a week. We feel we thrive in those situations. And yeah, especially those big Oz Cup nights, we've really been performing in them. So yeah, we're excited, and we've been juggling it pretty well, I think.
The Doherty Cup final went to pens, obviously didn't go your way. Have you been practising penalties? Are you expecting to go the full 120? What's it been like training?
Yeah, you've got to expect to go the whole way. I mean, we lost last time, but anything can happen, and hopefully we can get the job done before then. But if not, we'll take it as it comes and hopefully win this time.
You've traditionally had the edge over South in big matches. How much confidence will you take out of previous years' big matches, big grand finals, Doherty Cup finals?
Yeah, you take a little bit of confidence, but at the same time, it's a new year. They're obviously thinking about that as well. So we take it as an individual game, and yeah, just try and do our thing on the day.
Yeah, maybe finally, what will it mean to yourself and the team to take home the championship come Saturday?
Yeah, a lot. Obviously, we did it a couple of years back, but it's kind of a new squad now. So I think there'd only be 3 or 4 of us that were there from that year. So to do it again would be a really amazing feeling, and yeah, really hoping we get the job done.
A big thank you to Oliver Kubalay, who caught up with FB during the week to preview the big game. And now to get the Oakley perspective, we're joined by Felix Rosman. Felix, it's great to have your company.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get to you, though, Felix, we've got to provide some updates from around the state leagues today. Obviously, these are the halftime results, but if you want to go see what the up-to-date results are, you can head on over to the Football Victoria YouTube. Springvale White Eagles 2, Eltham Redbacks 1, Mornington 0, Banyule City 3, Altona North Point Cook is still 0-0, Williamstown leading 3-0 against Bundoora United, Noble Park 5-0 up against Sandringham, Middle Park and Heatherton at 1-1, Keon Park 1-0 up against Meadow Park, and Plenty Valley Lions up 1-0 against Moonee Valley Knights. So plenty of results happening right across the state.
Going down the wire.
Yes, well, Felix, we're here at the home of the Matildas. It's a big day again for Oakley. I guess take us through it from your perspective.
Yeah, well, obviously, as an ex-player, I'm very chuffed for the club to be back on the big stage again. Obviously, there's a lot of the people that were there when I played are still part of the club. So, I know how much hard work they put in, and, for them and for the supporters, it's great to see them back on the big stage again.
Felix, how much would it mean to the club to win another title, 2 in 3 years? How much would it mean for the people at Oakley?
Oh, I think it's huge. Yeah, I said, obviously the monkey was off the back from 2022, and on top of that, they've had the great run in the in the Australia Cup as well. So, this is just, the cherry on top if we get another title today. I think it'd just be, again, great for the club, great for the supporters. Fingers crossed we can get the job done today.
Felix, the progression of this club from when you first joined over 20 years ago to now, I mean, looking at sort of how the club has come along, promoted to the top tier, now being a staple right at the top end of the table, I mean, just take us through that journey, of seeing from where it was to where it is now.
Yeah, well, I was just saying to someone before, when I first joined the club, that they didn't have the grandstand they do now. That it was sort of a bumpy pitch out the back. Now they've got the artificial, the stand and the new stand that's coming in. But I think as well, they're now a firmly established, NPL club. When I joined, we actually got relegated in my first season. Took us a few years to get back. And then we sort of slowly established ourselves. But I think, each year now, they're an immediate contender for silverware. So I think it's great the job the club's done and the job Chris Taylor's done since he's arrived.
Being a winner and, experiencing, knowing what that feels like, what do the players have to do out there this afternoon? What's the mindset of a player getting into a grand final?
I think it's it's natural to be nervous. So I think it's that they shouldn't sort of be scared of being nervous. It's more about getting through the first sort of 10-15 minutes, doing things simple during that time, and then just sort of playing yourself into the game. I think obviously they know South, having played them multiple times during the season, so I think it's just getting through some of those nerves because it is a final, and then letting their qualities come through.
A key for Oakley is, of course, that midfield three led by Joe Guest. I mean, seeing him firsthand since he's arrived at the club, take us through what sort of impact he's made.
Yeah, look, every time you watch Oakley, he's the X factor. He's the guy who makes things happen. So again, fingers crossed tonight he can put on a show because for me he's the guy that'll make it happen for Oakley tonight.
Well, Felix, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the afternoon, enjoy the evening. It's going to be a fantastic day of football.
Thanks for having me.
Felix Rosman joining us for a preview from the Oakley perspective ahead of the NPL Men's Grand Final. Pakua, before we start to turn our attention to the first game of our doubleheader, any final predictions for the second of our doubleheader today?
Not just because Felix is here, I'm going to go with an Oakley win. I'm going to go 2-1 Oakley, but it's going to go extra time. That's the only safe bet, I think, extra time.
Look, I'm going to play it even safer. I'm just going to say we're going to penalties. I can't split the two teams. It's way too hard to pick. Every game this year has always been so difficult. But Bakura, it's time to switch gears and look ahead to the first game of our doubleheader between Preston Lions and Heidelberg United in the NPLW Victoria Grand Final. Here's how they got to today.
I think Preston flies under pressure. I think we've done that the entire season, and we were unlucky in the Nike Cup, but we have a lot to prove coming into this game, so there's a lot to fight for, and we're definitely going to showcase it. It's definitely going to be massive for the club, massive for all the juniors watching, and inspirational for all of them as well.
Being in a team that's so strong, connected on and off the field, I know that we have the togetherness to fight through, hard moments in the game and really level our heads if things go our way early. To be able to be in a grand final is such a special moment, and we want to enjoy that and, come in guns blazing and, hopefully be able to get the job done.
I think we probably come in as underdogs in this one. We haven't beaten them yet. They've got a super dynamic front six, and they're very, very difficult to play against. I don't think we'll have too much opportunity to stop them scoring again. We just have to find a way to score more than they score. So I'm confident the girls will show up when we get the opportunity.
It's going to be what a grand final should be. It's going to be game on from the get-go. They are very determined and they'll be rewarded on the weekend.
Of course, Pakua, all roads for these two teams have led to today. It's going to be such a fascinating contest. These two teams have played out two brilliant matches. Of course, they only met a couple of weeks ago, but take us through this year for both these two sides.
It's been two totally different sort of seasons. For Preston Lions, it was pretty calm the whole way through. Only a little bit of a rough patch in the middle of the season. But for Heidelberg, it's been an absolute turnaround. In the first portion of the season, they weren't one of the best sides. They were near the bottom of the table, and then Spencer Mild came in the midway point, and then ever since then they have been absolutely sensational, and they've rode that all the way into the top four and into a grand final.
Let's talk a little bit about Heidelberg, Pakua, because as you mentioned, it has been an incredible turnaround under Sven Samild this season. They've really come from the clouds to play finals football this year. They went and beat the Premiers Bulleen at the Venator Club last week. I mean, this has just been a whirlwind journey for them. It
has been a whirlwind journey, and you can kind of checkmark when he came in because that's when the wins started, but they met Preston in round 11, and it was a 2-1 victory then. And we asked Sven earlier in the week, Was that the game that kind of you felt, oh, this might be it, this might be the side that we can get to the final and do something like this? And they've certainly done that. They've been electric. Their midfield they've got with Alana Janchevsky, it's been tremendous with Sarah O'Donoghue as well, and they're going to face a Preston side who are equally as formidable.
And talking about Preston, Pakua, this is a team that in their second year now in the top flight of Victorian women's football. It's been an amazing sort of turnaround for them, of course, under Dan Foden over the years, but this time around finishing second, they went down to the wire with Bulleen trying to chase down that premiership. Of course, they were here for the Nike FC Cup final where they fell just short, but overall it's been a brilliant year for the Lions.
Oh, it has been an absolutely brilliant year, and they've continued that rollout from last season. At the end of last season they had a 2-1 victory over Bulleen, and they've kind of carried that through with Dan Foden. They had a major turnaround with their squad and a lot of new faces, but they've played consistent football, played attacking brand of football, and they are probably one of the most confident sides when they are at their best.
Well, Pakua, we've got some team news as well. I believe Preston going in unchanged for today, but also one change for Heidelberg.
Yes, Preston going in unchanged, and then for Heidelberg they've been forced to make a change. Margot Rabin, unfortunately, ACL injury she had against Bulleen last week, and then in comes Maddie Rakic at right back, so we'll see Keely Lockhart go up top, where she's been phenomenal all season, 12 goals to her name.
And also as well, Olivia Edwards back in the squad as well, so two very handy inclusions for the Burgers today. But we'll be looking at the Preston side of things, and one of those players who will be central to their hopes of securing the championship is Ali Lamont. FE caught up with her earlier this week.
As I can imagine, a lot of nerves heading into a final series, and especially in a game like it was against Essendon, such a close game. What was it like being out there for that?
I mean, any close game is going to stir the nerves a little bit, but going into a semi-final, we knew we had a job to do, and we were lucky enough to get the results. So.
I imagine after the full-time whistle, a bit of relief flows through. How quickly does that turn to nervousness and excitement for the next phase, the grand final?
I think a few of us girls actually shed a few tears. I definitely did in the change room. But coming into this week, training turns around and you fully focus on what's ahead. So,
what about just the moment in this occasion, coming to the home of the Matildas, a big event around? You got the grandstand, the cameras, and all of that. How do you feel about that kind of part of the game?
I think Preston flies under pressure. I think we've done that the entire season, and we were unlucky in the Nike Cup, but we have a lot to prove coming into this game, so it's definitely going to be a good matchup against Heidelberg. So,
Heidelberg, of course, wasn't the team you played in the Nike Cup, but same location, same kind of event around it. Do you feel like revenge is kind of a motivating factor for this team?
Rivalries, revenge, whatever you want to call it, but we go into a grand final not focusing too much on the other team, but how we are going to perform against them. And I think it's a privilege, going to be a privilege to take part in it, especially against Heidelberg. So they're a good side. So
you have the edge over Heidelberg on the table, but they have the head-to-head record. How do you think that kind of comparison sits?
It's not sitting well with us at the moment, so hopefully we can get a result. I know the other girls, and Dan obviously wants a result as well, so there's a lot to fight for, and we're definitely going to showcase it.
When you walk out with your players before the game, what do you want to see from them when that whistle goes?
I just want them to enjoy the moment. You know, a lot of players don't get these types of moments in their career, so it's definitely going to be an honour to represent Preston and take the field alongside Heidelberg, because they have a lot of brilliant players as well that deserve it. So,
if you picture yourself holding up that trophy, what kind of emotions do you think are running through your head in that moment?
I'll probably cry again. I get quite emotional, especially here. I don't know what it is. It must be the Melbourne weather. Yeah. But no, I think it's definitely going to be massive for the club, massive for all the juniors watching, and inspirational for all of them as well.
Brilliant. Good luck.
Thank you.
A big thank you to Ali Lamont, who joined us earlier in the week. And to get more of that Preston perspective, we're joined by club legend Di Pikulovsky. Di, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
Di, how are you feeling? This is a big day for the club. I mean, you've seen this club, emerge, and now being on this stage. I mean, yeah, how are you feeling ahead of this one?
I'm actually feeling pretty nervous for them. I think it's quite weird being on the other side of it. But yeah, I feel really nervous for them, but I think they're going to do really well today.
Di, you're so much a part of the fabric of Preston Lions women's football. Having seen the growth in recent years, obviously the journey through the VPL, obviously interrupted seasons with COVID, does it feel like a bit of a delayed, a little bit of a delay that you should have come maybe a little bit earlier?
Oh, definitely. I think, I think those years with COVID and all of that, I think it's obviously, dampened a lot of, I think for a lot of footballers and everyone sort of, the development and everyone sort of coming along through the years. But, I guess everyone had to deal with it, and I guess we're at this position now, so they just got to make the most of it, given that they've got the opportunity to do that now. So, yeah.
Di, take us through the journey of this club. I mean, specifically the women's program here at Preston Lions. I mean, Dan Foden was talking during the week, the work that Dave Svetkovski's done off the field to really build this program up to where it is now. I guess you've seen it come from where it was to where it is now. I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, look, I guess my journey started way back in 1999, so you could imagine back then how different women's football was back then. So it wasn't as big as what it is now, and the input into the women's football back then, it wasn't not what it is now anyway. So yeah, I guess the journey from seeing it evolve from back in those times to where it is now through the club has worked amazingly to get it to the position it's in now. And yeah, I think it's amazing to see and to have been a part of that journey as well throughout the years. It's great to see.
And obviously Preston not only doing fantastic things with the women's program but also the men's. It's been a fantastic year all round for the entire club. Di, do you get to speak? Do you speak to Dan? Do you speak to any of the players that you play with? Miri, who's phenomenal. Yeah. Do you speak to any of them ahead of this game?
I haven't. I've spoken to Dan and Miri as well. And as you said, she's an amazing player. And I guess they're just so proud of what they've been able to achieve. And I'm proud of what they have been able to achieve as well. So only the second year in the NPL and to make it to a grand final, it's an amazing achievement. And yeah, I really just hope they can get out there and do the job.
Well, a big part of that has been their amazing attack this year. Ali Lamont, Hayley Johnson, Mabey Tanaka, they have really just been electric all season. I guess tell us a little bit about that attack.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome to watch actually. They play some really exciting football, and that's what you want to see when you go out to watch games. Even if you can't get out to watch, you're watching it on YouTube or wherever you are, and it's just amazing to watch, and it's fun to see. And it's not that sort of boring style of football that some teams play, but they've been phenomenal, and yeah, hopefully they can get out there and score a few more goals today.
Di, you mentioned that you were at the club for such a long period of time. Does it feel like you always knew this moment would happen, where they would be on the biggest stage in Victorian football? Definitely, I think so. Yeah, I was having a chat to someone earlier on, and I think the last time, it's not a really nice stat to sort of bring up, but the last time we sort of played Heidelberg in a final as such was a semi-final back in the VPL days, and that didn't go our way, unfortunately. So I knew that there definitely would come another time to sort of where they're in that position to be able to sort of, I guess, if you want to call it redemption, it would be nice. But no, I think it definitely was coming. So, yeah.
Di, just this whole facility as well. I mean, I talk about the growth of women's football, home of the Matildas, an amazing sort of setup that we've got here. I guess the growth of the game in the women's space. I mean, take us a little bit about through that, because it has been an amazing journey over especially the last few years.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially when you look at the numbers that the Matildas get to games now. It's just amazing to see, and to have this type of facility on your doorstep as well. It's just incredible, and also to see the young junior, the girls, and just seeing how many of them are getting involved in the sport now. It's amazing to see.
And of course, the starting lineup is out for Preston. It's a very settled team. Of course, they're a very young side as well. Emma Checker, really the oldest player in the team at 28. I mean, what do you make of this team, just really from front to back? We spoke about the attack, but really they're very solid defensively as well.
Yeah, I think they all it all sort of gels, like you said, not just the attacking, even just defensively. Like they've done a really amazing job, and they just seem really settled, and they just know each other how to play and together, and I think they've done a really, really good job.
Well, Di, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
go
having
without
me.
giving a score.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to put you in that sort of position, but if you are bold enough to give us a prediction, we'd love to hear it.
3-2, Preston.
I like it.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Di, thank you
Hopefully lots
again.
of goals, yeah.
Yes, well, hopefully, maybe even go an extra time as well. It could be a long, long afternoon.
It could be, yeah.
Thanks again, Di. Enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, a big thank you to Di Pikolovsky for joining us on the broadcast. Up next now, we'll hear from the Heidelberg perspective. We caught up with Alana Janchevsky during the week.
Alana, big win over Bulleen on the weekend, 4-2 in the semi-final. What does it mean, firstly, just to beat that, the reigning premiers in a big game like that and then qualify for this grand final?
Yeah, I think it was such a big moment for us playing group and the club as a whole. I think seeing, the way we sung after the game together showed, how united we are as a club, and just to see how much it meant to, all the grandparents at the club, all the young kids of the club, and then just everyone involved in the team. I think it was a really special moment that I think we'll all cherish for a very long time.
Obviously, this is the end of one season, but do you feel like this is a culmination of a longer journey for Heidelberg and your team?
Yeah, I think it's been, a difficult season, and coming into a team that, was struggling with confidence and, trying to get, back up the table. It's been a really amazing, building life, milestone for the club, and, to be a part of it has been an amazing experience.
How's the confidence of the team heading into this grand final?
Yeah, I think off an amazing game on the weekend, we're feeling, really happy and buzzing and up and about, and to, be able to be in a grand final is such a special moment, and we want to enjoy that and, come in guns blazing and, hopefully be able to get the job done.
How do you think you match up against Preston from a football perspective? Because obviously you have the advantage on the head-to-head record so far this year.
Yeah, I think both games were really tight games and showed, the competitiveness we've had all year. And I think it's going to come down to the day. Grand finals always, who's going to bring it on the day. And, we have to, use what we, just did in a semi and try and bring that on the day. So,
when you think about what might happen on the weekend, and obviously there's this fine line between disappointment and, ecstasy and just the joy of winning, how much does that kind of emotional state sit on you going into a big game?
Yeah, I guess, knowing how it feels to be on the other side and losing, I think, 3 grand finals now, I know how much it hurts. So I think that's enough driver for myself, and just, being in a team that's so strong, connected on and off the field, I know that, we have the togetherness to fight through, hard moments in the game and really level our heads if things go our way early.
And what would it mean personally if you did get that win finally?
Yeah, I think it would be, a perfect ending to the season. We all work so hard, in training, off the field and all of that. So, of course it'd be, electric.
Brilliant. Good luck.
Thank you.
Big thanks to Alana Janchevsky, who joined us during the week to preview the big game. And now we're joined by Heidelberg club legend Rita Mankowska. Rita, it's great to have you on board here. It's a massive day for the club. I mean, you obviously playing in one of those grand finals all that time ago, but now back here on the big stage, it feels right, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And first of all, thanks for having me, guys. It's a real pleasure to be here and to share some of the history of the club. In 2007, 17 years ago, we won that championship against Box Hill. Huge day for the club today. Hopefully we can repeat some great history.
Well, now, I want to ask you, Rita, your good friend Steph Galea. She has been phenomenal this season, and
Absolutely.
She's been a phenomenal member of this Heidelberg side for such a long time. Can you just speak on her and what she means to the club?
Oh, absolutely. I think it was some time ago now, I wrote her a letter and handed over the captaincy for the club. And I just knew, and everyone at the club knew, that she would be the perfect candidate for the job. She's such a humble person. She's a hard worker. She's kind to everyone that she meets. And she's obviously a fantastic footballer, which just adds so much to our club and to the team. So I think she's a big reason as to why the club and the team have reached the grand final this year.
Tell us a bit about the women's program at Heidelberg. Of course, seeing it for all the years now, obviously since you debuted at 13 years old in the senior team, and now we're in 2024 now. I mean, take us a little bit about through the journey for the women's program here at the club.
Yeah, look, the club has a lot of history in women's football. The first team was actually established in, I think it was 1978. So that's almost 50 years of history. But I guess in modern days, under Steve Stalakidis' leadership and Helen Terikos as general manager, they've put so much resources and funding and time and love into building the women's program. We've got so many junior teams coming to watch the men, coming to watch the senior women now, and it's really fantastic to see such a bright future for women's football at Heidelberg United.
And somebody who's been a part of that in recent years is Spencer Mild, who's technical director, but now he's the head coach of this team. But how have you made of the turnaround for this women's side this season, but also Sven as a character around the club?
Oh, look, he's just such a humble, fantastic guy to be around. I think a change for any team, particularly at this level, is a challenge, particularly at a coaching level for this season. But Sven is the right guy for the job. He's just fantastic. He leads with his heart. He credits his coaching staff and the team and the club for all the efforts they produce. And I think he's a big reason why the team have made the grand final this year.
Rita, the growth of the women's game here, I mean, thinking about when you were playing in those grand finals against Box Hill Inter, and now we're at the home of the Matildas. We're expecting a great crowd out here today. I mean, just seeing how the game's progressed, tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, I mean, it's just fantastic. You barely knew that the Matildas existed back in my day. And now it's so good to see my godson running around calling the Socceroos the Mantildas, So it speaks volumes, and I think the 2023 World Cup last year really brought this all into perspective. But women's football has and always been a fantastic asset to Australian football, and it's really great to see so many more eyeballs watching it and giving it the attention it deserves.
Rita, you've been a winner. What is the mindset for Heidelberg today, and what do they need to do to get the win this afternoon?
I think they need to enjoy the moment, but obviously remember everything that Sven's taught them throughout the year. Play with heart, have resilience, and play for each other. And I think play for the club, and I think everyone out there on the park today will achieve that job.
Rita, we asked Steve for a prediction. We have to ask you as well. I mean, it's only fair.
Absolutely.
If you're bold enough, how's this game going to end?
It's got to be 2-1 Heidelberg. Go the Burgers.
Well, there we go. Thank you so much again, Rita, for joining us here on the broadcast.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. It's a pleasure.
Great to be joined here by Rita Mankowska, Heidelberg United club legends. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from this season for the Burgers and how they got to this very moment this year. Of course, we're almost here. We're almost time, ready to go for the first of our two games in the NPL Victoria Grand Final doubleheader, brought to you by Chenol. Pakua Frimpong has gone to take up her position on the scaffold and get ready to call the game. And I'm joined here now by Oscar Rutherford, who will be there on the sidelines for us. Oscar, it's going to be a great game of football, won't it?
Oh, it will be, Nick. I'm really excited. I think that the way that these teams match up, we're guaranteed pretty much one thing in this game, which is chaos, end-to-end football, probably a lot of goals. So I'm really excited to see what we'll get.
Oscar, looking at some of the team news for today, of course Heidelberg have been forced into one change. Margot Rabin unfortunately injured for today, but being able to recall Maddie Rakic to the starting lineup, I guess take us through a little bit about sort of what that will mean for Heidelberg today.
Yeah, well, look, I think one of Heidelberg's great strengths under Sven Samuel, Nick, has been their unpredictability. They've got so many players who can play in so many different positions, particularly going forward. And, of course, we know that someone like Maddie Rakic could really push high up the pitch and involve herself in the attack. So that's something that makes it really awkward to prepare for if you're Preston, and it's just another layer of confusion, of uncertainty that Heidelberg are going to introduce to the game.
Talking about sort of that, what Heidelberg are able to bring, that X factor, it's their midfield. Their midfield just completely ran rampant against Bulleen last week. Do you think that that's going to be key for them if they're going to come away with the championship?
The midfield is where this game will probably be won and lost, Nick. There is a chance that it will be depending on who can finish their chances better, but in terms of the weight of chances, that'll come down to the midfield. You mentioned, Asker Miata, Sarah O'Donoghue, that combination, they balance each other so nicely. Miata winning back the ball, O'Donoghue driving forward, and then you've got the likes of Janchevsky who can, of course, take it into that final third and do some magical things. So that'll be the key part of the pitch, and if Heidelberg can dominate that like they did last week, they're in with a really good chance.
And looking at as well from a Preston persuasion, they've gone in unchanged for today. A steady, settled lineup named by Dan Foden today. I guess, how have you seen their run here? They had one shot on target against the Royals. It was enough. But now they're here on the big day, of course. We saw what happened on Nike FC Cup Day, but different opponent, different opportunity for them too.
Yeah, look, Preston have probably played their best football towards the end of the season. They've brought in, as I know we've mentioned previously in the preview, the the number of new names and new faces who have come in throughout the course of the season, and they really look like they've gelled now. They've got threats from all over the park. Obviously, Miri Nishimura is the anchor in the middle, and she will be key from a Preston perspective. But then you've got players who could score, who could do magical things, whether it's Mebe Tanaka, whether it's Hayley Johnson, whether it's Ellie Lamont. They can all do magical things from any kind of part of the field. So they've got all sorts of threats and all sorts of weapons in this game.
I guess tell us a little bit about that Preston attack, Oscar. They have got players who can score at will. They've got 3 players who reached double digits this year, especially when you're looking at the likes of Hayley Johnson and Ali Lamont. Are they going to be the key for Preston today, especially with what they're able to do when they get forward?
Yeah, well, I think what's likely to happen in this game is that, you know, as we've said, both teams will have chances, both teams will go forward, it will be transitional, end-to-end, lots of chaos, and ultimately what the winner and loser may come down to is who finishes their chances. And Preston have a series of the best finishers, the most dangerous players in the penalty area in the whole of the competition. Ellie Lamont has scored bucket loads of goals. Hayley Johnson can score from anywhere. Georgia Henderson, pushing out of midfield, can score from range. Miri Nishimura from the set pieces. It's just an endless array of players who can do all sorts of magic. So that's Preston's big strength.
Well, Oscar, before we go as well, of course, we've got the men's grand final as well afterwards between South Melbourne and Oakley. It's going to be another fascinating chess match to round out a big day of action.
Yeah, I mean, 2 teams that we've seen meet so many times on the big occasion over the last few years, haven't we? Is this finally the time that South will take that extra step? They've looked really good, haven't they, this season, and in the big games as well when you look at their Australia Cup campaign. So this might be the time maybe for South to take that extra step, but we know what CT and Oakley are all about, and they're about finding ways to win when it matters most, and they do it all the time.
Well, we saw what Oakley were able to do last week. They went to Avenger Park, and they didn't just beat Avondale. They absolutely smashed them, especially in the second half, coming away with that 3-0 win. They're coming in, it seems like, with the form, despite the last time these 2 teams played here on Doherty Cup final day, it was South Melbourne who came away with the victory.
Yeah, it's a really good point. They'll obviously have lots of confidence going into the game, as you always will when you're coming into a grand final, Nick, but I think the thing with South Melbourne is that it doesn't really matter how you've been playing up until you play South, because it's just a whole different ball game. You set a whole new array of challenges, and very few teams are able to consistently get the better of South. So as much as Oakley will have that confidence and they beat that Avondale team so impressively, it's a really different scenario that they're facing today.
All eyes will be on the team sheet a little bit later, because of course South Melbourne are forced into one change with Andy Brennan out suspended, but Max Mikler, who didn't start the game against Oakley, against Hume City, a good chance to come in for this game against Oakley, scored the winner. You know, we know his X factor is not just with the ball at his feet, but it comes from those long throws. When you've got that combination with Harry Sawyer, it's a very handy play to call upon, isn't it?
It's kind of pretty similar to what we were talking about with Preston in the NPLW Grand Final. It's just you've got threats from all over the pitch in all sorts of scenarios that South Melbourne can score from. And that's what we see when you replace Andy Brennan penalty area. So yeah, South have that threat from all over the park.
Well, Oscar, it's time for us to wrap up. Before you go and take your position, who comes away as champions today?
In both of them, Nick?
Both games. Let's go for it.
That's a bloody good question. Look, I just don't know with the NPLW. It could really go either way. I like the narrative of Heidelberg going from 4th all the way to the championship, so that's what I'll bank on, and I'd love to see some extra time. As for the men's, Nick, put me in a situation. South Melbourne probably they'll just edge it, maybe like 1-0 or 2-1, something like that.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Oscar. Now it is time for the action. The NPL Victoria 2024 Grand Final doubleheader, brought to you by Chanel, is just around the corner. Stay tuned as Heidelberg United take on Preston Lions in the NPLW Victoria Grand Final. And of course, at 6 p.m. as well, South Melbourne taking on the Oakley Cannons in the NPL Men's Grand Final.
the moment has finally arrived. After 132 games, it all comes down to this. The Preston Lions host Heidelberg United here at the home of the Matildas to decide who will claim the 2024 NPL Victoria Championship. Two sides that have had two totally different journeys to get to this point. For Preston Lions, it's been a relatively smooth sailing season, maybe a little minor kind of disruption in the middle of the season, but they've been phenomenal from start to finish. But for their opponents this afternoon, Heidelberg United, it's been a different story, certainly. The start of the season, not so well, nearing the bottom of the table, but a mid-season change in coach, some inclusions into their side, have seen them find themselves in this grand final here at the home of the Matildas. Brought to you by Chanel, this NPL Victoria Grand Final. Two sides that are looking pretty great, if I do say so myself. And two clubs that have such an important legacy in the history of Victorian football. For Heidelberg United, they'll be trying to claim their first championships in the top flight of women's football since 2007. Obviously, it was a different competition back then. But for Preston Lions, they are trying to claim their first. Wow, what a journey it has been for Preston Lions, having come through the VPL. Heidelberg have been here from the start to finish. It's only their second time in the finals campaign in the NPL era. They were back there in 2022, but it's been a little bit different. And we're going to head to the national anthem ahead of this game, and we'll be right back after.
For we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Sorry, I've got no music. Our land abounds in ancient gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joy, praise and mercy, advance Australia fair. Didn't have any music.
Afternoon by Western United head coach Kat Smith. Kat, you know, you're Western United head coach, but you've also got an important history in the NPL Victoria competition. How are you feeling ahead of this game?
Yeah, walking in today, feeling very nostalgic, seeing two powerhouse clubs that were very much at the top of football in Victoria in my playing days. So it's some familiar faces still out there, and certainly a lot around the sidelines supporting these two great clubs. So I'm very much looking forward to this match today.
No, it's going to be a fantastic match, and we'll go through the starting lineups for both teams. For Preston Lions, in goals, as always, is Charlotte Harrison. They've kept the same starting 11 that beat Essendon Royal St Ganson's this point. In number 2, Jade Feeks. Number 6, Al Talevsky. Number 8, Miri Nishimura. Number 14, Maybay Tanaka. Number 15, Emma Checker. Number 17, Ali Lamont. Number 22, Eva Harrington. Number 24, Hayley Johnson. Number 37, Susan Fonsonkamp. And number 50, Georgia Henderson, who is their captain, of course. That's for Preston. And for Heidelberg this afternoon, they line up as follows. Only one change as we see Madison Rakic come back into this 11. She didn't play last week against Bulleen. And we'll see in goals, number 21, Mia Bailey. Number 4, Cameron Barrero. Number 6, Sarah O'Donoghue. Number 7, Steph Galea. Number 9, Keely Lockhart. Number 12, Daniela Galuccio. Number 14, Asuka Miyata. Number 17, Madison Rakic. Number 19, Sienna Weston. Number 22, Mami Ambo. And number 66, Alana Yanchevsky. Kat, going through those starting lineups, what do you make so far of the teams that they've got out there? Obviously some fantastic players across the board.
Yeah, as a coach going into this game, you'd want to have your starting 11, your players available. Unfortunately, I think there's been some injuries midweek that may have changed coaches' plans for this weekend. But, you know, it takes a squad to get to this point, and having those players out there, I'm sure they're ready and they'll fulfil the role they need to today.
Yes, and you mentioned the injuries, unfortunately, for Heidelberg. Last week against Bulleen, Margot Rabin unfortunately did her ACL. She's done that before in her career. It's really, really unfortunate for such a phenomenal player. So we see Maddie Rakic come back into the lineup, and we'll see Liv Edwards also on the bench this afternoon as well. But Kat, we're not too far away from getting going. What's sort of the key for sides heading to this game, where there isn't necessarily a clear-cut favourite maybe, but you know, two sides that fare relatively well against each other?
Yeah, I think we'll say pre-game it's just another game, but it's a grand final, so I'm sure there's lots of adrenaline rushing through the players' bodies right now, and it'll take a team to settle first and take control on how they want to play this game out.
And we are underway for the 2024 NPL Victoria Grand Final, brought to you by Chanel, and it's Susan Fonson-Cam out wide. Got some options in the middle and then ran straight into a collision and then cleared away. But not far enough, so we're going to get a goal kick. You can see already Susan Fonson-Cam, probably a player you're pretty familiar with her game, but what's the key to stopping somebody who's so dynamic like her on the ball?
Oh, you just don't want to get players isolated with her 1v1, so you certainly got to look at your wider defensive structures to maybe stop some of that attacking threat from a player like her.
Cleared long by Bailey. Emma Checker dealt with that well. And there is his Preston side, so good all season. Keely Lockhart, I think, should be a lot happier this week, playing further forward. Had to fill in a role at right back while Madison Rakic was unavailable. Headed forward, but Galuccio going to play back to her keeper. Galuccio up against her former side in Preston. What does that feel like, playing, you know, your former side in such a big occasion? The nerves, are they a little bit more heightened?
Yeah, you wouldn't think that players at this stage of the season in a grand final need added motivations, but certainly playing against an old club might give you that little bit extra.
Donahue picks it up in a dangerous area. Got Ambo up alongside her, who's making the run through. Tried to switch that out to Galea, but not able to do so. Mayata, so good against Bulleen last week, mopped everything up. And there's Alana Yanchevsky, and a beautiful pass through to Mami Ambo, who kept herself onside. Got Galea through the middle, cuts back. Still Mami Ambo, now sends it across, but easily collected in the end by Her Horrison. Both sides setting up in a 4-3-3, but obviously quite fluid with the players they have across the pitch. So that's brought down. Now a chance to break forward. There is Tanaka, but cleared away by Galuccio. Tanaka just looking for a potential option. Goes a little bit longer to the path of Hayley Johnson. And on the touchline this afternoon, we have Oscar Rutherford, who's going to be making sure, seeing if the coaches are getting a little bit angsty out there. Oscar, you are down there on the touchline. What have you seen so far? We'll just fix up some of those technical difficulties. Just can't hear Oscar at the moment. Lockhart picks it up, still driving, closely shadowed by Henderson, but ran into a little bit too much traffic in the end. Now Tanaka out wide. Johnson making that run through, but picked off by Mayata. That'll be her role all afternoon. Where do you think, Kat, this game is won or lost in terms of, you know, both sides being at their best?
Oh, you can see both teams are holding a fairly high line, so I think having an opportunity to get in behind one or two will sort of shift the I guess, the tempo of this match. But again, we're early days yet, less than 4 minutes in. We'll see a team needing to settle and I think control a little bit more possession.
Certainly, as we see Jade Feeks. Preston able to knock it long as Lockhart's just going to send it forward. As we've seen her do all season, a bursting run forward. Got Galea in support, that's where the ball's going to go. And well defended in the end by Jade Feeks. Barrero, go from WA, had a great career with their development side. In that competition was a captain for a long time, but she's been one of the most consistent fullbacks throughout this NPL Victoria competition. Chance at a set piece, and Lani Janchevsky, very familiar with this competition and setting her teammates up well. She scores a lot of goals, but she's also great at assisting as well. Don't you reckon, Kat?
I do, and this is a pivotal part of football, set pieces, so we'll see what we've got in store.
Janchevsky doesn't get the distance, but that's still bobbling around in the box. Some shouts for handball, but not cleared away just yet. Falls out to Lockhart. Still Keely Lockhart trying to dribble her way through. Lockhart finds a little bit of space, and then it is brought down. But no penalty called, waved away. Tanaka picks it out and it's going to go out of play. Kat, what did you make of that just then?
Yeah, just talking about set pieces, how pivotal they are, and certainly close games like this, if you're not clearing your area, you're giving opposition a second chance or a second phase of attack, so it's really important.
Tanaka, Miata. Janchevsky tried to slip it through but wasn't on the same page as Galea. Saw the idea though. Check up. Wants to go for a little bit of a run, but cut off by O'Donoghue. And now Galea is through on goal. Steph Galea, what can she do? But blocked by Henderson. We have a corner. It's an early portion of the game. Another chance at a set piece. Heidelberg have looked relatively good so far in this game, you'd have to say, Kat?
Yeah, you can just see there in that phase of play, Heidelberg very aggressive on their press there. You can see they're almost going with a front five and a back five. So if Preston get the opportunity to break that press, there's a little bit of space in the middle, and we'll see how that plays out.
Janchevsky once again. High ball into the area, knocked on by Weston. They couldn't direct it goalward. On target. Accurately. That was a good ball through, and it took deflection on the way out as well. So we'll have another corner from the opposite side this time. Skamayata. Challenge from this near side. Options camped out on the far side. Played short to Barrero. Got some space. Goes first time into the box, but don't get the distance needed. O'Donoghue, not the cleanest pass back to Galuccio. He's just going to send it back goalward. Picked off by Nishimura. And then there's Checker in a bit of a tussle there with Madison Rakic. Forced to retreat back to her goal, and then one back by Janchevsky. That pass needed to be a little bit better. Tanaka now. Got Lamont up ahead. Tlefsky alongside her. Out to Lamont. Up against Barrero, and then Tanaka continued that run. Really nicely done, but Mayata once again stopping it as it made its way through. Some shouts of handball, but play continues. Nishimura. Now Tlefsky. Johnson up against Madison Rakic, nicely won by Rakic. Janchevsky, just one idea, just not the right execution in the end. In a game where it can get quite congested, and sides that have played relatively similar, how do you go about making space for yourselves and creating patterns of play that can actually find you routes to goal?
Yeah, we hope there's a few older heads on young shoulders out there that can actually just take control of the game and understand that tempo plays a big part. And I think that there's players out there that can do that. You know, Emma Checker of the likes, she'll find herself on the ball soon enough and get some control back for Preston. But right now we see Heidelberg doing quite well.
Nicely done by Mayata to find Lockhart. I know she wanted to tee up, but forced a little bit further wide. She's going to keep possession of the ball. Got some options through the middle, and then Lockhart, really nicely done from Keely Lockhart, still continuing, and there is the first big call of the afternoon. Keely Lockhart, her persistence, winning her side a penalty, and that's what she's done all season. Really nicely done on that far side from Keely Lockhart.
Yeah, we talk about high-value actions, and from Keely Lockhart there, it was just taking the player on. Spoke earlier about not getting in positions where you're isolated defensively when, you know, you're called into action inside the box. Missed time tackle, penalty for Heidelberg.
And now it is a chance for Alana Janczewski to make the first big statement of the afternoon. Could she become Heidelberg United's 300th scorer? 300 goal, not goal scorer, in the NPL Victoria era. It is Alana Janczewski from the spot. Just getting set. Janczewski slots it in, and Heidelberg get the first points in the game. Nicely done by Alana Janczewski. They obviously went the right way, but it was too far out of the reach in the end.
Yeah, stepping up and taking a penalty so early on in the match. Look, it puts Heidelberg in a great position. What we'll need to see now is from Preston is how they react. There is plenty of time to go in this grand final.
Absolutely plenty of time. Only 11 minutes so far into this game, but Alana Janczewski never looked like missing. Comfortable in the end, and that is 300th goal in the NPL era for this Heidelberg United side. It's exactly how Spencer Mill would have wanted his side to perform, but on the other side for Preston, they did the opposite way in the Nike FC Cup, where they scored first and then Bulleen were able to make a comeback. What's the mindset now for Preston, going a goal down very, very early into this game?
Yeah, they've just got to stick to their structures, to their game plan, find the vulnerabilities in Heidelberg's setup and exploit those, and not to panic. Like I said, there's plenty of time.
Von Camp wins it in a nice area, but cleared away by Weston. And we'll maybe try and head to the touchline where Oscar Rutherford is. Oscar, did you get any word down there? Any comments from Dan Foden after that goal went in?
Can we hear the sideline commentator? The sideline commentator can just cut.
And now chance. Skied high in the end. Goal kick for Mia Bailey. Headed on by Talevski. Mayata. Once again, just going to send it long, but Tanaka read the ball in the air well. Out to Lamont. Just going to send it and switch sides, but that pass just caught in between two players as Henderson. That ball's knocked away from her path, but falls to Fonson-Camp. Still Fonson-Camp continuing that run, but chased down and won back by Sarah O'Donoghue. Janczewski. Galea tried to play that quick pass out, couldn't get the contact. Must be strange a little bit for Alani Yanchevsky scoring against the Preston Lions. Club that, got links to with her family, got family members still around Preston. It must be just a little bit of a weird feeling, surely.
Knowing Alana, I think she'll take scoring any day.
Absolutely. And we have a corner for Preston. Erin Ishimura. High ball floating into a dangerous area, headed on by Henderson, but cleared by O'Donoghue. And now Mama Yambo, can she hold it up and get some runners going? And well defended by Eva Harrington.
You can just see there the two different setups on the set pieces, attacking set pieces for each team. Heidelberg committing players forward, even though defending that set piece by Preston. So we'll see what they can develop on the counter.
There's Lockhart. Picked it up off Galea, but couldn't get that far forward. Tanaka. That's Nishimura. Got Fonsonke making the run forward, and that's exactly where the ball's going to go, and a beautifully weighted pass. Fonsonke up against Bailey, still Fonsonke. Got a hit to it, but couldn't direct it where the nets were. It was a beautiful ball over the top.
Yeah, we spoke about that earlier. The game will really open up when a team can get their foot through it and go beyond, and you can see that on that left-hand side for Preston. And here they go, quick short corner.
Fonsonke sends it through, and a big save from Mia Bailey. But the ball's going to go back into the box, and there is Valley Lamont. Wow. I believe that was Sienna Weston who put her head there. Lamont's boot was there, and Sienna Weston wins out in the end.
Games are won and lost in the 18-yard box, and you want that from your defenders. They need to be courageous and make sure they're keeping a clean sheet. So well done on that instant right there.
Barrero has to turn and eventually finds a teammate in Miata. What can Heidelberg create from this opportunity? O'Donoghue. It's so good. A-League experience. That pass. Not what she would be after. And that stop from Sienna Weston reminds me of last week, Miata goal line clearance against Bulleen, and Spencer Mills spoke so much about how important it is for a side to take those chances. We'll come back to that as Steph Galea is making her way forward, playing out to Mami Yambo. Still Mami Yambo, can she get across through? But she can, and we've got a player down in the middle of the park. Not quite sure who it is at the moment. I believe it might be Al Talevsky. Quite sure what happened in that particular instant. Never great to see players down for a while, but a chance to assess how the game has gone so far. What have you made of Preston's start, nearing about the 20-minute mark into this game, Mr. Cat?
Yeah, you can see they're quite effective on that left-hand side, and they are getting opportunities of box entries, but just through that middle of the park, you can see Heidelberg a little bit more aggressive on their press, winning the ball in that central area, with Preston being a little bit more exposed on that middle to front third.
And on the opposite side for Heidelberg, obviously that goal so crucial from Alani Yanchevsky from the spot kick. But what have you made? Is there any sort of tweaks that you've seen them would nullify Preston in any sort of way, or has it just really been fairly even for both sides?
Yeah, it's been fairly even. Like I said, a team needs to take control of possession to really have an impact of the game. You can see it's already starting to get a little bit stretched. It's probably a good 60 metres between all of the lines at the moment, but this will be critical in this pause in the game right now, that players can reassess, the coaching staff can get some messages out there and make the impacts that they think they need.
As a coach, at what point do you start thinking about tweaks in the game? Do you obviously have your game plan at the start, but how quickly into a game do you really start going, okay, we might need to tweak that?
Yeah, you've got to look at the threat that it's posing if you feel that you need to make a change, but you certainly got to back your players and trust them that they'll make good decisions out there and leverage the strengths that you have as a team yourself.
Lamont coming deep to pick up the ball. Needs to be careful as Galea closely by. Shimura has to chase that ball ever so slightly. And that ball in between Rakic. Picks it off. Ambo sets up from long range, but easy in the end from Ray Horrison. Horrison goes long. Rakic stopped it, but couldn't find a teammate. From Cam. Zalewski. Switches it out to Tanaka. And that ball is in between a few. And Mia Bailey had to be brave. Collected it in the end and also got a knock on the way through. It was a heavy collision. And we've seen a few instances of bravery from this Heidelberg side quite early in this game.
Yeah, and as a coach, that's, you can only ask that they do their best, but we certainly don't want to see any serious injuries come out from the match. And we've still got Mia Bailey down, and probably a great time to go down to pitch side where Oscar Rutherford is now. I believe we can actually hear Oscar. Oscar, what have you been seeing from the touchline so far?
Yeah, well, hopefully, Pakua, you've got me this time. It's been a really fun start to the game, hasn't it? Both teams having moments of control. Just observing the coaches' reactions from this position. Dan Bowden's been pretty stone-faced and silent when that penalty was awarded, and when it went in, there was no reaction really from the Preston bench or the coach at all. Sven Samuel's pretty animated. There has been a bit of drama at the start of the game for Sven, who likes to sit on his esky tub at the edge of the penalty area. He's been asked to push it right back, so he's not quite gone everything to plan in the first 20 minutes of Sven Samuel, but his team have looked really good, and they deserved their 1-0 lead early.
Kat, as a coach, how important is your seat on pitch side? How important is it?
It is important, but I guess that doesn't really have an impact on the game and the players. But you certainly want to have less distractions as a coach and feel like you've got as much control as you can. But yeah, that might have put Sven off a little bit. But I'm sure he'll gather his thoughts now and make the impact he can from the bench.
Yeah, I think Sven will be all right. Sven is, if you're looking at Sven, you might not see him on the broadcast, but Sven is wearing a beanie, but he's wearing shorts. I can't tell what the weather is. He's wearing a puffer jacket as well. It's all over the place, but he's very comfortable with the spot his side is in at the moment, and they are getting going very quickly. Mia Bailey is up on her feet, which is really good to see. Barrero. Beautiful pass into Yanchevsky. Smart idea. Trying to find Galea, but read well by Checker. Barrero finds Galea. Galea can't find a teammate. Harrison. Now it's once again tried to anticipate. That time didn't get the advantage. Lamont out wide, going to send it in, and too close to Bailey in the end. Really important to command her area, Mia Bailey, this afternoon. And if you're going to put passes like that, they'll be even better. Now Galea just stepped on the ball and then picked off. Hopefully he'll walk away with range. Keely Lockhart once again and a menace on the ball. That's exactly how they won that penalty. So tricky with the ball at her feet. Barrero Lockhart just going to flick it over the top and ask Galea to do some work. Galea once again. Tanaka applying a little bit of pressure. And Yates has done really well to turn away, but still followed by Nishimura. She wasn't deceived by that bit of trickery. Galuccio. And Marnie Ambo might be coming from an offside position, but Osman disagrees. Ambo slips it through. O'Donoghue. Now Galea forced a little bit further wide than she would have liked. Rakic tees up and headed away by Henderson. Falls for Galea. Still a little bit wider. And it's going to go for a corner. What did you make of that little passage of play there?
You can just see the aggressiveness rather of Heidelberg there, not allowing Preston to get out of their own area. You can see Preston have one or two players up near the halfway line, so perhaps a significant tweak might be to get a few more bodies for Preston behind the ball during some of these crucial moments that Heidelberg are ascending control.
Janchevsky once again. High ball, spinning goalward, and went through and evaded everybody, so it will be a goal kick. For both sides heading into this game, as we see Steph Galea just down on the ground for a moment, just getting some treatment. Obviously, sides with a lot of attacking options or from different positions across the field, not just in the attack, but also in the midfield. When you're game planning for something like that, Kat, is it more about eliminating one, or are you trying to just do a good enough job with everybody, or is it just, really focusing on one?
Yeah, I think, my personal preference is as a coach, you can only control what you can control. I can set a team up based on what you believe your players can execute, and that being enough to get you results. When you've got, outstanding threats from the opposition, you feel like it's important to really nullify them in an isolated manner. You've got to almost think about, robbing the rich to feed the poor. How much do you maybe tinker with your own structures to cater for the opposition? And you can see teams that either revert from a press, wanting to sit back in a low block to really nullify space for those attacking type sort of wingers, or teams that like to combine. You obviously eliminate that space, but you need to adapt. You need to adapt and be flexible within a game, and hope that your players can recognise some of the problems and put those solutions in place.
Tanaka just played it straight into Barrero, but gained a few metres in the process. Feeks, and not able to be controlled by Johnson. Works out, Fonson-Can tees up, Susan Fonson-Can! What a strike! And that is exactly how you respond to going a goal down. A fantastic effort for her 6th goal of the NPL Victoria season. And what a strike it was.
Yeah, after being fortunate to see that along her journey, starting in junior Matildas right across to the A-League. So certainly has that in her locker, and what a day to pull it out.
Absolutely. Maybe she hasn't scored as many goals as she would have liked in the NPL Victoria campaign, but that may prove to be such an important goal. And just the courage to take a strike from that far out. Exactly what you're after if you're Dan Foden from your key players. Now Heidelberg, how do they respond? Ambo. Pass straight to Tanaka. Lamont, poked away by Galea. Now in a foot race with Ellie Lamont, and I think Ellie may just have it. It slips away from Galea as well. Adds a little bit of razzle-dazzle to it. Mayata. Is going to go to Heidelberg. I'm assuming what the call is that Tanaka inadvertently knocked it out before it actually fully went out. So I do believe it's actually the right call. Fonsonkamp shrugs Mayata off. And a big challenge in there for Alana Yanchevsky, and we'll see the first yellow card of the afternoon.
So that was a little bit of frustration coming out there from Heidelberg. Not ideal to be picking up cards this early in a match, but there was certainly enough bodies behind the ball there. But Alana showing a little bit of frustration there, just trying to stop Preston there, and obviously that goal's really swung momentum.
Really important, obviously, and assuming that to just stay composed for those senior players to speak up and just settle the nerves. And so it's only, they're still right in this game. It's just a draw at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of football to be played yet, and there'll be a lot of moments within the game that'll swing it either way. So certainly teams have to be a little bit more composed. You can see the referees brought the card out again, so that might play into some of the substitutions the coaches might be thinking of later in the second half.
We'll see Altalevsky with the yellow card there. And a bit of a battle there with Sarah O'Donoghue, her opposite number 6. Rakic stands over the ball. Can she find a teammate? They can't get past Checker. Fonsonkamp. Got a run of Hayley Johnson forward. It looked like she was slightly kept on by Daniela Galuccio, but someone disagrees.
I'm not stepping into that one. I'll remain impartial.
Kat, I'll be honest with you, when it comes to Lions people decisions, don't even utter a word on it. Linesmen are always correct.
Oh, here we go.
And Dan Foden, already in the books. He's a fiery character on the bench, Dan. He'll fight for his side. And he will do the talking and say, you just focus on the football. Wasn't ready to start yet, so we're going to go back. Just a little bit of confusion going on pitch side.
Nothing like a little bit of drama in a grand final.
It just makes the day even better, doesn't it, Kat? Lots of people here at the home limit Steelers, and a little bit of drama with the referees. It feels good. It feels like an afternoon of football. Ishimura. Able to be cleared. Mayata. Pass was a little bit short, but it worked out. Referees for this afternoon's game: Courtney Van Disian, lineswoman Nicoletta Sotropoulos, Daphne Benares, and Angelique Mangin is the fourth official this afternoon. Talevsky slipping that pass through. Henderson just going to ask Fonsonkamp to chase. She's certainly willing to do that all afternoon. Susan Fonsonkamp beats one, cuts in between two. Nothing wrong. Play continues. A chance for Heidelberg to go back the other way. O'Donoghue. Well, she may have been pulled down, but another big call. Not going the way of Preston. It was a big decision. Paved the way. Kat, what did you make of that one?
Oh, look, Preston have been targeting that left-hand side so far all afternoon, so it's something I'd be encouraging to continue, because it's certainly starting to cause some problems for Heidelberg.
Rakic under a lot of pressure on that fast side. Obviously, she has been consistent right back since she's come into the club. Kelly Lockhart played there last week, and that was really smart from Miriam Bishimura to play it off Cambarero to hold possession with Preston. And on this side, a lot of animated voices around the pitch, to say the least, at the moment. But it's great, obviously a great afternoon. Two clubs that have such an important legacy in Victorian women's football, and Heidelberg being in the NPL era for the entirety of the time, but for Preston coming through that VPL, and then not only coming through the VPL, but being really competitive in their first season, and in their second season making a grand final. It's fantastic to see as Emma Checker plays that forward, not dealt with by Galuccio, may fall for Lamont. Nice touch, plays to Fonson Camp, got Tanaka around wide, still Fonson Camp, it's back the other way, and this time that one is not going to find the back of the net. Maybe could have played it out to Tanaka, but at the point, obviously, two really big clubs, and in the recent years, the growth of women's football, it's even better to see clubs that really embody that and try to hold their women's programs at such a high standard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the fairy tale, isn't it? You've got teams going through the lower leagues and earning themselves promotions, and you just look at both clubs. Their storied history in the league. They're certainly two of the leading forces that are investing in women's football, and surely are very deserving of being the two counterparts for a day like today.
Donahue, Mayata. Still Mayata this time, looked away by Nishimura. Bit of a tussle. Referee thought it was both players tugging at each other. Lucio. Mayata, sloppy from Mayata, really lazy. Picked off by Fonson Camp. Now played out wide to Johnson. Got Lamont trailing behind. Still Hayley Johnson. Really nicely done, Johnson! What a strike from Hayley Johnson! And just like that, it's turned around. Preston leading the NPL Victoria 2024 Grand Final. What a strike into that far post.
Yeah, we saw the warning signs earlier, didn't we? There was almost an under-hit pass going back in an earlier phase for Heidelberg. Preston have read it, they've been more aggressive on that press, and with players forward of the ball, have been able to get players like Johnson in that position 1v1, and what an incredible strike.
An absolutely incredible strike to continue a fantastic season from Hayley Johnson. 20 goals. And now the 21st in a grand final in her first season in the NPL Victoria, the American. They must be feeling pretty good on that Preston bench right now.
They will be, and look, we know that goals are what you're after, but getting that one back about, 3 or 4 minutes ago have sort of swung it in Preston's favour, and you can turn a game in a couple of minutes by scoring goals.
Really great strike from Hayley Johnson, but for Heidelberg, they would be pretty comfortable, not necessarily incredibly comfortable, but this is pretty familiar territory for them. They are not ones to keep clean sheets on a regular basis, and Svensson Mild said their mentality has always been, if the side scores 3, we'll score 4. And it's a high-risk strategy, but so far this season has worked, and can they respond here in the biggest occasion of their season?
Yeah, again, it's going to come down to Heidelberg's composure and not to panic. There's certainly both sides, as we know, and what we've seen so far, there's attacking threats all over the park here at the home of the Matildas, so I'm sure there's more goals to come. And if you're a Heidelberg fan, you're hoping it's them putting it in the back of the net to even this one up. But we'll see how they build out again.
Bailey sends it long. Tanaka. Maybe Tanaka is such a fascinating character, not traditionally a fullback, but has been put into that role by Dan Foden, but she's such an attacking option. I mean, she's held up so well defensively so far.
Yeah, I think that's a trend in women's football that, your fullbacks can still be attacking weapons, and she's certainly got the physical attributes to get up and down and the technical execution to really be effective as well. And what a partnership on this right-hand side for Preston.
They haven't. You look at this Preston side, there are goals aplenty. There are not that many people on the pitch for Preston who have not scored a goal. Jade Feeks is one of them. Ellie Lamont is not one of them. She has scored plenty of goals this season, but didn't work out that time. But Maybay Tanaka, she's been so good in this game, picks it off once again. Johnson, goal scorer, that pass, not exactly what she's after. Mami Ambo trying to spin away from Feeks. Blocked by O'Donoghue, but it finds Altalevski in the middle of the park. Harrington. Nishimura now. Can they find that ball through? And over the top it goes for Fonson Cam. What can she do this time? Still Fonson Cam. Cuts inside. Fonson Cam. And well kept out by Bailey. Falls out to Johnson. Sending it back into the box. And this time easier for Mia Bailey. They really are starting to turn up the pressure, Preston. Ever since that first goal they went down a goal, they've really upped the intensity and are not allowing Heidelberg any space. O'Donoghue trying to slip it out. O'Donoghue may have just passed it beautifully, and then Mami Ambo, I believe, just couldn't get it on target.
You can just see there we had a shot down one end with Preston, Fonson Cam, and then an opportunity for Heidelberg to level things in the space of seconds. You see this game is going to continue to open up, and those moments are really going to either make you a hero or go missing.
Chevsky finding Lockhart, cuts inside and then blocked well by Jade Feeks. Lockhart allowing it to settle but not coming away with the ball. Nishimura. Lamont. Can't get past Barrera on the first time of asking. And tried to slip it through and may just have done that. Fine points on Kemp. Empty goal. But Sienna Weston was there to cover her keeper and she needed to be. They are getting dangerously close to getting that third, Preston.
Yeah, you can just see how intuitive Fonson Cam is there. We've seen her dominate on that left-hand side from a wide area, but certainly making some really good runs centrally off the shoulders and creating some more headaches for Heidelberg.
Maybe Tanaka to throw in very deep into the corner. A really physical battle. Falls it to Tanaka once again. Evades Lockhart. Has to get past her own teammate. And it will be a corner for Preston. Nishimura. Fonson Cam. Short. Just some words spoken by the referee to a crowd of players surrounding Mia Bailey. What can Nishimura set up for her side? High ball, sits up well. Couldn't get any contact there, Preston. Chance to break forward for Heidelberg. Lockhart, ball a little bit too far forward. And once again, Maybay Tanaka, she's been everywhere all afternoon. Nishimura, and not dealt with just yet as Bailey has to come and collect. She's just going to launch it forward and ask Galea to chase, but dealt with by Harrington. Nishimura trying to find Tanaka, but Barrero alert to the danger. Henderson charging in and really physical there, and it's going to be a goal kick. Mia Bailey, and she set her side up for an attacking play as we near half time, only a few minutes away from it. Henderson won that. Now foot race between Fonsonkamp and Rakic, and Fonsonkamp made up so much ground to even contest that, and then brings the ball for her side.
Yeah, the impact that Fonsonkamp has had in this first half has been incredible, obviously, with the ball scoring goals, but certainly some of the effort she's putting in without the ball as well.
Okay, heading into half-time, obviously, for Sven, side going a goal up and now, being a goal down, potentially heading into half-time. What's the mindset? What's the message to his team?
Yeah, look, to be honest, I've been impressed with both teams, the way they've reacted to conceding goals. And look, they would have done a lot of work throughout the year, or since his time, in instilling belief in what they're trying to achieve in the way they play. And he'll just reiterate that message and, go out knowing that there's 45 minutes still to impact the game.
Lockhart trying to flick it on, but not able to keep it in play. And on the other side, for Dan, how does he go about regulating the emotions of his side and not getting too high, being a goal up at halftime after being a goal down?
Yeah, look, I'm sure his planner will score more goals and put the game to bed. There's some specific strengths that we've seen so far in this half, with Preston really dominating down that left-hand side. So I think that's something he'd like to see be strongly encouraged. And again, here we go down this left-hand side.
It's going to be 6 minutes added on for this first half. Nishimura tees up, blocked by Barrero, finds Miyata, and they're just sending it long at the moment, Heidelberg. They're not finding those one or two passes in between. Tanaka, once again. I have to say, Susan Fonsonkamp has been phenomenal, but maybe Tanaka may be so far best on ground. The amount of ground she's covered. Fonsonkamp, look at that. Really nicely done to beat Barrero. Got options in the middle, tees it up. And a timely and important header from Danny Galluccio. Back in the box it goes. Johnson. There's a handball call. Not sure about that, but the call is always the call. And maybe this little break and play, a good time to go down to Oscar Rutherford down on the touchlines. Oscar, if you're hearing anything from either coaches just as it was near half-time, we'll just come back to that as Alana Janchevsky tries to make her way through, but cleared out of play by Georgia Henderson. And still the tussle continues. And Preston just miscues that. Oscar, well, what are you seeing?
Yeah, well, for sure, what a fantastic first half of football we've been treated to. Breathless end-to-end stuff throughout the game. I can confirm that the period of silence that Dan Foden observed for the first half hour has well and truly ended. He's been up in arms both for the goals and for a couple of the refereeing decisions. So a big shift in momentum in Preston. Well, they've got all the momentum at the moment and they're being urged on by their bench. After that Hayley Johnson goal, a bit of a USA chant broke out among some of the subs. So they've certainly heavily invested, very involved, and being urged on by their coach.
Janchevsky couldn't get past Nishimura that time. Tanaka got Johnson through the middle. Softer shoulder as that ball's curling its way through, but an important deflection from Camberero.
Yeah, you can see Preston here, they've swapped Ellie Lamont onto the other side. Fonsonkamp sort of operating on this right-hand side again, but maybe Tanaka being very effective, combining, getting herself forward and having opportunities to deliver into the box.
As Johnson just sets it up and Mia Bailey had to come out early. Galea, haven't seen too much, and we've seen a player down off the ball. Not quite sure what happened exactly. Collision with Mia Bailey potentially. And the Preston's fans are all situated near and about there, and they're asking how the referee didn't see that. We didn't quite see it. We were focused on the ball. So not quite sure what happened there. I believe it was Ali Lamont who was the player down on the ground. Not quite sure what happened there. Not quite sure. As well, maybe ask Oscar Rutherford, who was down on the touchline. Oscar, what did you see from that?
Yeah, well, Cool, like you say, we were all following the ball. The Preston bench certainly caught out of the corner of their eyes what happened there, making the elbow gesture towards the fourth official. So I think that the claim is that perhaps Ellie Lamont copped an elbow on the way out of the box.
And for referee this afternoon, we'll take a look at, we're seeing the replay now. There's Mia Bailey. There she is, and she does make a sort of run into Ali Lamont, and now it is another big call here for referee Courtney Van Dissian. Will Mia Bailey find herself in the book, or will play continue as it has been for the way of the first half? And Ali Lamont, and that's a yellow card from Mia Bailey, I believe. And we're going to see, I'm not quite sure who referee Courtney Van Dissian is having a chat to, but somebody's going to get a yellow card, I have a feeling. Or she may just be having a quick word.
She might be looking for Ella, who's gone to get treatment off the pitch, but all we can say from the referees, they consulted their ARs, not having the luxury of replays like we do, but it's definitely a pivotal turning point in the match.
No, absolutely, and we've seen some big calls during this first half. Obviously the first being the Keely Lockhart penalty that was awarded to Heidelberg, and then on the other side we saw a chance waved away, and a penalty shout waved away, and then now this as well. And Ali Lamont has also been given a yellow card. I'm not quite sure what it's for. We'll proceed with that, and that is just another twist in the tail here in the NPL 2024 Grand Final. We'll see how it all shakes out at the end, but a big call. Ali Lamont and Mia Bailey both given a yellow card in this game.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Look, you want to reserve your own opinions, don't you? But what it will do is shake things up as we head to this halftime break and what both teams are going to come out with in the second half.
It's a big call, certainly. And for Dan Foden, he's got to keep composed. He is on a yellow card. He would, the players on the park are obviously really important, but as the leader of this team, he's really composed. So he keeps a composed head. But that is the first 45 minutes of football here at the home of the Matildas for the 2024 NPL Victoria Women's Grand Final. It is Preston Lions at the moment who hold a 2-1 advantage over Heidelberg United. Kat, what an entertaining first 45 we've had.
Yeah, I don't want to finish off the half by talking about some referees' decisions. I'd rather go to the goals. The work by Keely Lockhart to earn that penalty for Heidelberg early on, but the two responses from Preston, two absolute worldies, have put themselves ahead.
No, they certainly have, and we'll head to a bit of a halftime break, I believe, and then we'll come back with the halftime show here at the home of the Matildas. Morrison. And career with their development side in the competition, was captain for a long time. She's been one of the most consistent fullbacks throughout this NPL Victoria competition. Chance at a set piece, and Lani Anchevsky. The handball, but not cleared away just yet. Falls out to Lockhart. Still Keely Lockhart trying to dribble her way through. Lockhart finds a little bit of space and then it's brought down. But no penalty call. The handball, but not cleared away just yet. Falls out to Lockhart. Still Keely Lockhart trying to dribble her way through. Lockhart finds a little bit of space and then it's brought down. But no penalty call.
How that plays out.
Anchevsky once again. High ball into the area. Knocked on by Weston. Some options through the middle, and then Lockhart, really nicely done from Keely Lockhart, still continuing, and there is the first kick. Some options through the middle, and then Lockhart, really nicely done from Keely. Lockhart still. Some options. And career with their development side. In the competition was a captain. A long time, she's been one of the most consistent fullbacks throughout this NPL Victoria competition. Chance at a set piece, and Honey Anchevsky. Hello and welcome to the halftime show here for the 2024 NPL Victoria Women's Grand Final, brought to you by Channel. I'm Pure Frimpong, obviously Oscar Rutherford joining us, and Kat Smith. We're just in the commentary booth for a pretty action-packed first half of football. Kat, what did you make of how those two sides played?
Yeah, you can see Heidelberg getting that early penalty and really setting the scene early on, but as soon as Preston were able to break some lines and score those two wonderful goals, they've really taken control of this game. We mentioned a couple of standout players there for Preston. They're really making an impact in this grand final. Songham on the left-hand side and Maybe Tanaka on the right. And I'd say in the Heidelberg change rooms right now, they've still got to be holding their heads up high and have that belief, but starting to look at nullifying those threats from Preston.
It is, obviously. Preston Lions with a 2-1 advantage over Heidelberg at halftime. Oscar, you were down on the touchline. What did you hear from both coaches? Was there a lot of chatter or was it relatively muted?
Well, it was relatively muted for probably the first half hour for Kura. It was the start where Heidelberg were clearly the better team. They started really well and got that early goal. But then once those couple of controversial refereeing decisions that the offside call Dan Foden wasn't happy with, he called back to the Nike Cup final where we know he was very unhappy with some of the decisions. And that really lifted the Preston team, I thought. And then we saw those two incredible goals and that got the Preston bench up. They were lively, they were buzzing. It was stone silence at the other end with Heidelberg. So yeah, totally turned around as the half went on. Preston went in full of momentum.
Oscar, you touched on those controversial decisions. We obviously had the penalty for Keely Lockhart. We had a non-call for the penalty for Preston as well. And then we saw late on a little bit of controversy. It looked like Mia Bailey may have run across Ali Lamont and fouled her. And then it was a yellow card for both. Go with you first, Kat. What did you make of those big decisions and how important are they in the makeup of how this game goes for the next 45?
Yeah, it's certainly going to come down to the composure of those players if they're under threat on those cards to make sure they're not doing anything silly and putting their team in a position where they might go down to 10 players. And that goes to the coaching staff as well. We know that Dan Foden's on that yellow card, so certainly composure in that second half. Some level heads to make an impact in the second half.
Oscar, I'm not going to let Kat make the controversial opinion. Kat, we respect you too much. Oscar, I'm going to ask you, what did you make of those decisions, those referee decisions in the first half?
Well, I'm going to defend myself and say I'm at a terrible angle to see them to get a really good view. I can tell you how Dan Foden thought a few of them, and he wasn't exactly pleased. Obviously, I don't think any of us really were keeping an eye on the Mia Bailey incident as we were following the ball, but certainly a lot of the Preston bench did see it, and they were up in arms very quickly. When the yellow card came back for Ellie Lamont, Dan Foden kind of threw his head back in exasperation, so he did well to keep, I think, a lid on it towards the end, Dan Foden, because he clearly wasn't thrilled with how it was going, but he'll be very happy with the fact that his team are ahead of the break.
It always feels something a little bit controversial is happening for Preston down on this side of the pitch. Heading into the second half, Kat, what do Heidelberg firstly need to do? And then Oscar, I'll ask you, what do Preston need to do to get on top and win this game at the end?
Yeah, again, obviously Heidelberg need to go out and score 2 goals to put themselves there in front. So to that, they need to get good possession of the ball. You can see they're a threat in behind the line. Preston defending very narrow. So if they can exploit some of those wide areas and still get delivery into the box with numbers, anything can happen.
I think for Kua, what Preston need to do is avoid falling into the trap that they did in the Nike Cup final. They need to keep pushing, pressing, being ambitious and forward-thinking with how they're playing. It's easy, obviously, to take a step back, particularly in such a big game, and to get nervous and anxious. And that could happen, but for Preston, they need to keep pushing. They'll leave themselves vulnerable, but that'll give them as good a chance as any of winning this game.
And we will see exactly how that plays out in the second half here at the home of the Matildas. Kat, you're going to join me in the booth for the second half. You're not going to leave me. I'll be commentating the second half. We'll take a little break, and after that, we'll be back for the second half action here at the home of the Matilda for the 2024 NPL Grand Final, brought to you by Chanel. Timing for that. Hello and welcome back for the second half here between the Preston Lions and Heidelberg United to see who will be crowned champions of the NPL Victoria competition. An entertaining first 45 minutes of football, a lot of drama filled, but Kat, in a game like this, there are some key players who are always super important, and we've seen Maybe Tanaka be that for Preston in the first half. What have you made of her efforts and how she's impacted the game so far?
Yeah, whether it was a personnel forced choice to play her at fullback or tactical, I think it's a genius move. The fact that she can get so high and combined with Lamont, it's certainly working for Preston in that first half, and the effect that it actually has on Heidelberg, their left winger not being able to get as forward and be as potent in their front third for Heidelberg. So it's really had a bit of an impact tactically. We'll see what changes we may see in this second half in that aspect.
And then on the other side, Kat, it's Heidelberg's midfield that haven't necessarily had the kind of dominant performance we've become really accustomed to throughout this NPL Victoria season. How do they change that, and what do they kind of need to tweak?
Yeah, you can look at just on Preston how it's perhaps affecting Heidelberg's midfield. Their wide play has been especially good on that left-hand side. We've referred to that a lot. Just as we kick off in this second half, the point I'll make about Heidelberg's midfield is Miata's needing to drop a little bit deeper as Heidelberg's wide defenders, fullback and centre-backs get pulled out.
And they may just be through here with Ali Lamont charging through, followed closely by Galuccio, but Lamont couldn't keep that in play. It's obviously 2-1 in this game, which is quite the finest margin you can get in a game of football. But what's the mindset for Heidelberg being a goal down? Are you in a rush to score that one goal, or do you need to be patient? What's the mentality, Kat?
At the end of the day, you've got to be able to execute well to get through this Preston.
And we've seen a little bobble there from Sienna Weston, and then Lamont coming across. Falls out to Telesky, thought about taking the shot, plays it out wide to Tanaka, who's just going to tee it up in the middle of the box, and Mia Bailey was ready to collect.
Just going to that point around Heidelberg here, they really need to execute whatever it is if they're looking to play in beyond or through the lines, that they need players that have that composure on the ball to execute whatever they feel is going to be their path to goal and not to panic.
O'Donoghue now. Another one of those players with the experience, played at the Brisbane Roar. Got the likes of Alana Janchevsky there as well. Those sorts of players, experienced, need to step up as Barrero finds Lockhart, is able to control it, searching for a runner but couldn't find them, only found the feet of Maybe Tanaka. O'Donoghue. Got Rakic making the run on the near side, elects to go short to Janchevsky, who tees up and plays it straight into the path of her own teammate Miata. Barrero comes away with the ball. What can they do in this tight little spot? Miata tees up, and that was well wide, and Charlotte Hay Harrison is just going to watch it go out of play. Kat, for Preston, how do they go about managing this game? Obviously, being a goal up, it's obviously a fine line between doing what's got you here, and then also maybe just going a little bit reserved.
Yeah, looking at the form and they're doing what got them here, I'd say there's still plenty of minutes left in this match, so I'd say they'd want to be threatening the goal as often as possible and make sure they're keeping some compactness within their lines and not dropping too deep, allowing Heidelberg back into the game. Just offside there was Susan Fonsoncam. I think she was just coming back from an offside position. O'Donoghue. Weston has to be careful. A little bit too much air on that ball. Mia Bailey miscues that kick. Falls to Fonsoncam. Susan Fonsoncam! Just wide. Playing with danger there with Heidelberg and their defence. Take a look at that. Just wide. It was
So close for Susan Fonson-Cam, getting her second of the game. Slips through, finds Lockhart. It's been relatively quiet since that opening goal. Still Keely Lockhart keeping Nishimura close by, but still making ground up. And now we will go out for a corner, so persistence pays off, and Heidelberg are rewarded for it. Got Rakic close by, but it will be Janchevsky who tees it up, and that ball's a beautiful ball, and it was Keely Lockhart with a diving head through, but just couldn't make any contact, and they get a second chance. Mayata tees up and too far underneath the ball, but that was a really good corner from Alana Janchevsky.
Yeah, and it was a solid effort by Keely Lockhart there. She did all the hard work to get the set piece for Heidelberg and wasn't too far off scoring in the box there.
Certainly wasn't Keely Lockhart. She scored a header last week. Wasn't for her own team, but she did score a header, so we know she's got those capabilities in her locker. She'd like to maybe get one for her team this week. Here's Harry Horrison. Sends it long. Mayata read it well in the air. Lockhart, nice, beautiful spin away. Still Keely Lockhart, tees up, and Harry Horrison, good grab in the air. It was a good effort from Keely Lockhart from a little bit further out.
Yeah, she's certainly a player in the Heidelberg shirt that's come out trying to impact this second half, and we can see Preston now sitting a little bit more behind the ball, and Heidelberg might see a couple of minutes here of good possession.
Bailey searching for Barrero, and ball didn't find her, and they're playing with danger. Heidelberg, Lamont. What can she create here? Ali Lamont goes to the touchline, just can't keep it in. That ball's certainly out of play, and it will be a goal kick.
Hearing that comment earlier from Daniel Foden from the bench to Ali's attempt early on in this second half was go 1v1, go 1v1. So you can certainly see that from Preston's wide plays throughout this second half, no doubt.
Bailey trying to find Marmy Ambo. She's been relatively quiet throughout this game. She's really good at holding the ball up for her wingers and midfielders to make those overlapping runs, but hasn't been able to do that as much as she would have liked today. And we're going to see another yellow card, and I believe that time was for Susan Fonson-Cam. So we've seen 5 yellow cards so far in this game. Hopefully we don't see a red. We like to see everybody finish the game. And you take a look at that challenge again. Just shoving Marmy Ambo off the ball, and Fonson-Cam wasn't going to let that go any further. Janchevsky, really smart flick, left by Lockhart, over the top, may fall, and O'Donoghue. Don't know exactly what happened there. That ball got caught in between O'Donoghue and Galea, and nobody took a shot on goal.
Yeah, you can see building some kind of opportunity from a throw in there with a cheeky little flick from Janchevsky. It's something that Heidelberg are going to need. Find something out of nothing.
And really physical work from Marmy Ambo. Wins her side a corner. Just driving ever so close to the goal, but you take a look, just came on that right, over the right shoulder of Sarah O'Donoghue, and then she inadvertently took a tumble, so was never set in a position to really take a strike, to be fair to her. Janchevsky, beautiful ball into the box, but headed away once again. She'll get another opportunity. It's Jade Feeks who said, "You shall not pass," as they say in the movies. Seen some good deliveries in this second half from Alana Janchevsky. Just needs to find a Heidelberg shirt on the end of it. Janchevsky, beautiful ball, headed away once again. Emma Checker, can she get more distance on it? And she can't. Lockhart comes away with the ball. Galuccio. And that pass needed to be better. And Shevsky praising the idea, but just not the execution. Funsongkham. And Georgia Henderson just trying to make that run down the line, but Sienna Western coming across. Last time these sides faced off in round 11, it was Heidelberg who won 2-1 on the day as a high boot from me. That's not called. And they've closed out the season, round 22, against each other. It was a 2-all draw. Susan Funsongkham with the late penalty as Mami Ambo with a strong collision up against Funsongkham. He wants to play quickly. So these sides have been at certain points as check marks for each other at the halfway point of the season, at the end of the season. And now here on the biggest day, Preston have never beaten Heidelberg this season. Can they do it on the biggest occasion? Nishimura once again, high ball, curling and saved off the line. I have no idea who that was, but it was absolutely needed to deny Preston their third of the afternoon as Lockhart continues to run on the opposite side. Got Miami Ambo up alongside her, but dealt with well in the end by Eva Harrington. But from one end to the other end of the pitch, take a look at that. Saved off the line, I believe Sarah O'Donoghue, very acrobatic. Maybe she's watching the Olympics. Simone Biles gave her some inspiration. That was phenomenal. Are those the kinds of things, Kat, that can kind of shift the momentum for a side when you see those kinds of courageous acts? We've seen that twice this game. Sienna Weston in the first half putting her head there as well.
Yeah, you could see it just in that phase of play. You had that acrobatic save off the line, no goal line technology at this level, but then Keely Lockhart putting her head in the path of a boot to keep that attacking phase going forward. Look, it could be 3-1 or it could be 2-2 any moment within this game, so it's a very exciting period of the match here in the grand final.
I have no idea how that, went out. No matter how this game ends up, somebody needs to ask Sarah O'Donoghue how she managed to stop that ball from going to the line, as Dan Foden is irate on the touchline, but he has to be careful. He is on a yellow card. Rakic, Hilaire, and I'm not sure if you can hear it, but we certainly can hear Dan Foden having some words. The fourth official down on the touchline. Oscar, this is probably a perfect time to go to you down the touchline. What are you hearing from Dan Foden and all the other coaches? We'll maybe come back as Sarah O'Donoghue is just going to go and charge forward O'Donoghue, and it took a deflection on the way through, and Ray Harrison's going to pick it up. But Oscar, what are you hearing on the touchline?
Well, I can confirm for you that Dan Foden is on his final warning before maybe being asked to head towards the stands. But yeah, look, it's been a bit of a calmer start to the second. Well, here we go.
We will have a look, and it looks like referee Courtney Van Dissian is heading to her pocket, and Dan Foden has been given a second yellow card of the afternoon and has been sent off. Wow. Well, that final warning did not last very long, Oscar. And he is going to have to watch the rest of this afternoon's fixtures from the stands. Wow. What a big turning point, Kat.
It is, and unfortunately, maybe the moment's got the better of Daniel there. Look, he's gesturing the crowds, the Preston supporters, to get behind the girls. Look, they've still got this lead, and hopefully that impacts, that situation. If his red card doesn't impact the players on the field, but let's see if some cooler heads can prevail with those out on the field.
Certainly, and it's how coaching staff wise, how do you go and change it? Preston at the moment, they've got one assistant coach listed, and I think it's actually he. So how do they go about, rejigging that, and who's giving the instructions? But we'll come back to that as Johnson takes an effort. And wow, that would have been a way to respond as well.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a moment in play here to really talk about, I guess, the game plan in the technical area for Preston now that they've unable to utilise the services of a head coach, but quickly saying that there'd be a huge amount of trust between a head coach and assistant coach to carry through the job, and I'm sure there's a lot of collaboration, and I'm sure that the messages can be consistent with what's been happening throughout the year and what can happen in this match with the remaining minutes.
How important do players like Emma Checker, Georgia Henderson, who's the captain of this side, how important do their voices become on the pitch? And now that Dan Foden, we're not hearing his instruction because he was very vocal on that touchline, how important are their voices on the pitch now?
Oh, absolutely, and that would have been from the first minute, so that really won't change. It's just them being a little bit more consistent and perhaps going the other way and getting some messages back to the bench in terms of maybe some of the changes they feel that needs to happen with personnel coming off the bench.
And that is, we've seen a lot of drama in the first half, a penalty, a non-penalty call decision, the Mia Bailey incident with Ali Lamont, and now Dan Foden, 2 yellow cards sent off, watching the games from the stands with about 30 minutes or so left in this game. So a lot of time in this contest. They have to be disciplined, Preston. Have to be sharp, and they cannot leave any space as Camberero plays it forward, but picked off by Feeks. Henderson now. No stranger to a long-range effort, Georgia Henderson, that's for sure. She doesn't kick goals from a metre or two out. She kicks them from 25 out. And she's just warming up her legs. She's just warming up from her range, finding the distance.
Oh, you can see the first goal for Preston. It's exactly what it was, taking your chances from a distance. And if that's something that can put them with a 2-goal lead, I'm sure even Dan in the stands wouldn't mind that one.
Exactly. Not sure where he's standing at the moment and how close he's allowed to be, but Keely Lockhart is trying to make an impact in this game for a second time. Going further inside, still Lockhart. I have no idea how she's still going, but finally Emma Checker comes away with the ball for Preston. Fonson Camp and Akic was alert. I'm not going to let that go any further. Yeah, it's a touch a little bit too heavy in the end and worked out for Henderson. Just couldn't keep it in play in the end. O'Donoghue able to turn and go, but that ball straight into the path of Mira Nishimura. Nishimura has spent probably the most time with Dan Foden of any Preston player. Has been here at Preston since Dan got there. It was one of the key acquisitions they got in the VPL. He's been such a skillful player and will be crucial in this game, settling this side, and he's just a real hallmark into how this side have grown in their journey from the VPL up into the NPL era and second season in the competition. I know it is Preston here on this final day, but the likes of Burundara last season as well, and Eston Royals making a finals run this year. It's really great to see these sides coming in from the VPL, not just being making up the numbers, but really being competitive in the way they play.
Yeah, and it's a credit to the investment across the federation, both state and national, Football Victoria, Football Australia, off the back of the World Cup, that we see this continued investment to support the growth of the game and to elevate, I guess, teams into the top tier position.
Lockhart tees up, and Ray Horrison, as she's done all afternoon, picks it off. Just seeing some movement on the Preston bench. Oscar, who does it look like is going to be coming on for Preston at the moment? Is it Molly May Ramsey?
It is Molly May Ramsey, Pakura, and I can tell you as well that before Dan Foden was sent off, he did go and ask the fourth official specifically which of his players confirming are on yellow cards. So I wouldn't be surprised to see one of those three players take it off. Of course, may not be the case, but Molly May Ramsey is the player coming on.
And have you seen any changes on that Heidelberg bench at the moment, Oscar? Any chat-up?
Not as obviously Pakura. Catherine Vlahopoulos has just headed down the race to perhaps grab something, so maybe she's someone who's getting ready to come on, but not as immediate for Heidelberg. Preston should be making that change in a couple of minutes' time, though.
We'll see how that plays out as Janchevsky puts it over the top for Marmy Ambo. Lockhart at the edge of the box. Still Ambo trying to find a little bit of space, and that pass overshoots everybody. And Maddie Rakic, she was limping to that ball just then. Didn't look the most comfortable. And Mayata read it well. Heidelberg are just growing in confidence, and Mayata thought she was taken down from the ball. No free kick awarded. Play continues. Chance to go the other way for Preston. Ellie Lamont. Still Lamont driving through the middle, taking a couple of challenges on the way through. And that pass just couldn't complete that passage of play. Fakes. Ambo. What are you seeing from Heidelberg at the moment? Is there anything that's giving you positive signs that maybe they're potentially getting that second goal and tying this game up, Kat?
Yeah, you can certainly see their midfield centre is a little bit more active in building some opportunities. Unfortunately here, I think for Heidelberg, with their right fullback here and Rakic, she's very neutral, so not giving a little bit... beg my pardon, not giving too much going forward. However, on the other side, you can see Barrero being a little bit more advanced.
We'll see how it all works out, as that's a really strong challenge from Al Talevsky. Exactly what she wanted, and that ball slipped through. I think Sienna Weston maybe did a slight tug that was very smart. You couldn't see it for the referee, but just kind of momentarily halted the run of Ellie Lamont to give Mia Bailey enough time to clear that away. Miata. Lockhart. Can it find Ambo? It does. Galea out wide. Still Galea. That ball took a deflection on the way through. And Macheka just needs to get some distance away from her own goal. Rakic. Not the cleanest pass into Mayata. And they're just not getting that final pass into the box, are they, Kat?
Yeah, you can see right now as they're transitioning back out, Heidelberg, how narrow they are. And we just spoke about perhaps the lack of width in their second line coming from these fullbacks. So we'll see if they can exploit a little bit more space out wide, as Preston are fairly compact across that back four line.
Harrington. Fonsong Cam. Donahue trying to apply some pressure and wins that battle. Fonsong Cam still down on the ground, and we're going to just halt the play. And Alani Janchevsky's asking why have we stopped the play, which ultimately is probably a fair question, because you don't have to necessarily stop it unless it is a hand injury.
Yeah, but you can see a couple of players now trying to stretch out the legs. We haven't seen any changes. We were preempting that perhaps there are two coming, one from each team, as we start to see some tired legs here. But it just might be a little bit of a twinge to the ankle there. She's taken the boot off there, Fong Song Cam. So I think she made the call herself that she may not able to continue. But for her sake and for Preston's, perhaps she can get the attention she needs in return.
And not surprising, we are going to see Liv Edwards come on this afternoon to replace Daniela Galluccio. Both players formerly at Preston Lions. So Liv Edwards is going to slot in. I believe at centre back. And Molly May Ramsey's still waiting down there on the other side to get on. Maybe still trying to figure out who's coming off for her, but no, they're not going to make this substitution in this particular window. They're both lined up there. Mayata. Janchevsky. Lost the ball momentarily. Collects it back. Me Marmy Yambo. Couldn't get the words out of my mouth, and he was oh so close for her getting that right contact. I think she got a boot to it in the end, but just couldn't direct it goalward.
Yeah, you can see, sorry to cut you off there, but you can see Preston really struggling to get it beyond Heidelberg's midfield there. Miata getting a little bit more freedom, stepping up from the back line. Found in that first half she was a little bit more compact, but we'll go back to you in regards to this change that is inevitably happening now.
Yeah, and it's not surprising either. It's Al Talevsky for Molly May Ramsey, so straight swap essentially, and it was the question that Dan Foden had for himself. What am I going to do? Molly May Ramsey's been really good all season, so has Al Talevsky. And the job share right now may just work out. Molly Ramsey's a player who loves to get forward, get involved as well, so no signs of Preston slowing down their attack.
No, it's just important you start the game and how you finish it. You still want a strong team out there to continue to threat to finish off the game and this point, close it out for Preston.
Janchevsky, long way out, but not too far for her. Lost the ball on the way through. And speaking of Molly May Ramsey, must have been a whirlwind of emotions for her as well. She was originally going to start, and it was a late change in the starting lineup for her to get to go on the bench and then come back on and have to keep composed and stay ready at every point. Nishimura playing it straight to O'Donoghue, but Heidelberg, they're building in this game. They're growing a little bit of momentum. Rakic, and that's not where you're after.
Yeah, it's a challenge for players and coaches alike when you're making those decisions. Obviously critical for a grand final. You might have found a player that has impacted the season quite well, playing significant minutes, but you come to a grand final and for whatever reason, tactical or for personnel reasons or injuries or niggles, you're needing to sort of change your approach. But I'm sure the two wonderful coaches here we have today have built a fantastic rapport with their players. They've been provided with the feedback, and I'm sure in the case of the players, being a team sport, they want to play the role whatever they're given on the day.
Yeah, both coaches have spoken about how much unity has been within these sides and how together they are, groups that really are about the team, not about the individuals, all about the collective project of becoming champions. As that ball straight into the referee, Courtney Van Dissian. And Susan Fonson-Camp just down here on this near side, just hobbling the ball. So we'll see how that goes. O'Donoghue. Miata. Marmy Yambo this time. So you're going to need to make a substitution, Preston, because I do believe they're a player down at the moment, unless I don't know how to count, which...
Quick count myself, you're correct. 9 outfield players at the minute.
I needed that confirmation count, I'm not going to lie to you. I was about to start using my fingers to count at the end. Harrison. Tanaka. And if Fonson-Cam isn't able to continue, and she doesn't look well, she's just behind the Preston goal at the moment, how does that change the makeup of Preston's play, Kat?
Look, they've still got the lead at 2-1, but you can see Heidelberg are really starting to knock on the ball, on the door here, rather. You certainly just need to even up the body count on the field, so hopefully
Preston are going through that, given the head coach is serving that red card in the stands.
Ramsey up against fellow sub Liv Edwards. Galea. Ramsey couldn't get that pass away. Rakic this time got space to run into and couldn't find the ball through for Lockhart.
Looking a little bit more promising there for Heidelberg, though, with Rakic getting a little bit more advanced. And we made the comment earlier, it's going to be the team that can actually execute on the day. So she can just work those passes into the final third. They've got some good numbers here, Heidelberg.
Galea, haven't seen too much of her this afternoon, but Steph Galea driving forward, finds Jancheski, tees up Jancheski. And that was always sailing over. And we're going to see another substitution. So this time it is what we've expected. Susan Fonson-Cam off, makes way for, I believe, Ali Vlamic. So another like for like relatively. O'Donoghue, Miata spins away, uses Vlamic. Rakic. Ambo faked one way but couldn't fake out. In the end, Eva Harrington. O'Donoghue picks it off once again. Can they get a reward for this continued sustained pressure in the last few minutes? Jancheski sends it into the box, asks a lot of Lockhart, who just runs straight into Harrison, and no foul's being called. That ball across goal. And Harrington just clears it out of play. Some big calls have been made and some have been left. But it is all the story of this grand final, and it looks like Catherine Vlahopoulos is going to come onto the park and be replacing Madison Rakic. So a midfielder on replacement of a midfielder and replacing a fullback. So what do you see from that, Kat? You know, when you're bringing on, do you think they're going to change shape, or is it just a case of Vlahopoulos plays at a fullback and, you know, goes into the midfield at times?
Oh, things are a bit helter-skelter here at the minute, but I'd say she's trying to reorganise the midfield here, and I think they're still trying to create a little bit more width because they are getting a little bit more joy there. They might be going more to a back three and see if they can employ some wing-backs a little bit higher.
A strong challenge there from Keely Lockhart on Maybe Tanaka. Probably feel that tomorrow. O'Donoghue able to turn away, but picked off by Johnson. And that pass too short, so Miata allowed enough time to react. Vlamic. Still Vlamic, gets past Sienna Weston, cuts it back inside and not dealt with just yet. Lamont. Nishimura calling for it. That's exactly where the ball goes. Miri Nishimura trying to work her way through the tight space and not able to do so. But a chance to break forward for Heidelberg with Marmy Amber. Got Jancheski through the middle. That's exactly where the pass is going to go. What can they create here, Heidelberg? Jancheski tees up. It was a good strike of the ball, but just well wide in the end. And I believe Oscar has got some intel down on the touchline. Oscar, what do you have for us?
Yeah, just confirming that Heidelberg, well, they've got to go for it now, and they certainly are. Sven has told his team they're going to a back three, which is why the Vlahopoulos for Rakic change has happened, and Alani Jancheski's been told to go to 9, so all or nothing.
as Ali Lamont just a little bit too eager in the end with that. So 3 at the back, all out with about 10 minutes or so to go in this last 45. Really all about being brave, taking your chances, creating something. Miata. O'Donoghue. And that pass too strong once again. Is there an area, Kat, that you've seen for Heidelberg that they've proved to be a little bit more fruitful as opposed to others where they maybe, if you were on the touchline today, you go, maybe we need to target this area, or is it fairly even across the board?
Yeah, look, I think the changes that have been made, identifying how narrow Preston are, but their gameplay now is kick and hope and turn Heidelberg around as often as possible, and you'll do that being 2-1 up, but both teams will look to be having a little bit more control in these last 10 or so minutes. But Heidelberg certainly starting to put the pressure on Preston here, and you just hope that they've got some composure and calm heads at the back not to cough anything up.
Barrero. Ishimura able to get that. Now Molly Mae Ramsey. Lamont needs to control the run, and she's certainly off there. Just not on the same page, those two.
Yeah, you can see how high Heidelberg are stepping up now. They need to go and score. They're going to risk it all to try and get themselves to perhaps extra time or pinch one late.
And that ball not what was the desired intent. Heidelberg able to evade any real threat there. Miata. Lamont. Flamick. Henderson now. And once again, not on the same page. In these closing stages of the game, it's really important for both sides to be at their sharpest.
We've seen that a couple of times in the last couple of minutes where Preston, when they do get possession, there's some hesitation going forward. So whether they've had the message to sit in, they certainly need to stick to some of their key principles that they exploited in the first half. When they were going forward, they really had Heidelberg on the back foot. So that'd be one way they can get the ball forward and take the pressure off this back line at the minute that Heidelberg keep knocking on the door.
Edwards only finds Johnson as Liv Edwards strong into that challenge, and Miri Nishimura looked like she was on. Mia Bailey was first to react. Janchevsky gets past Lamont. Miata. Still Miata. What can she do? Can she find somebody? And Miata just kind of spun in a circle and couldn't find anybody.
Yeah, it would have been encouraging to have a shot there on the edge of the box where we've seen keepers are quite high off their line today, trying to protect anything in behind.
And just got to say that if Preston are able to get the win this afternoon, it's a lot of history against them in terms of their past historical matchups against Heidelberg United. It currently sits 18-2 in favour of Heidelberg, so that is a lot. Obviously, that spans over a large portion of time, but wouldn't it be nice after so many losses for the club against Heidelberg to get the win this afternoon? But Molly Mae Ramsey's done really well in that challenge to come away with the ball, but couldn't fully complete the total action. O'Donoghue. It's really time now for these Heidelberg players to step up if they want any chance of lifting the NPL Victoria trophy this afternoon. And for Preston, they're not too far away, and Ali Lamont is not giving up on this ball. Lamont couldn't get it to find the back of the net, but Nishimura, Molly Mae Ramsey this time, he just sends it, but straight into the hands of Mia Bailey.
Yeah, it's interesting we talk about historical fixtures and stats, but that's never a guaranteed predictor of future performances.
That is for sure, as Janczewski turns away. Just couldn't find Ambo. Checker. She's had a really calm afternoon, Emma Checker. She hasn't had too much to do.
She makes it look pretty easy.
She does make it look very, very easy. The leader of that back line. Can they stop this attack? O'Donoghue's ball through, and it may just find Galea, but she had drifted offside. You can see the assistant coach there, Preston, I believe, doing hand signals, calm down, calm down. But Kat, what's going through the mindset of players? Because we're really close there, and the time here at Home Matildas is quite large, so everybody knows what the time is. But what's that mindset for Preston players and for Heidelberg as we near the end of this game?
Yeah, you want to eliminate the risks at the back if you're
and Lamont may be through as Liv Edwards has misjudged that ball over the top, but Liv Edwards done really well to come back and recover, and she needed to, because that would have almost certainly been the game if it was Lamont up against Bailey. But Liv Edwards has done really well to deny Ellie Lamont. Sorry to cut you off, Kat.
No, I need to make a correction in terms of what's going through Preston's mind. These defenders just making sure they're not doing anything too risky and just keeping
a beautiful turn from
their
Janczewski.
line solid.
Really is about composure. O'Donoghue, that is not it. Will that ball stay in play for Captain Vlahopoulos? Haven't seen too much of the sub since she has actually come on. We're going to go to Oscar on the touchline once again. Oscar, we are nearing the end of this game. Are you hearing any more chatter from the Heidelberg bench as we go into the final few moments of the game?
Not a lot of movement, Pakua. Things looking fairly calm. Sven has got a cool and calm exterior, as he does tend to do. You just feel it's more nervous tension coming from the Heidelberg bench, and it hasn't quite spilled over into a whole lot of action just yet.
Yes. Ali Lamont is now officially offside. Just got to make a point to say, but it's fantastic to see so many people out here this afternoon really coming to support women's football. Obviously, it's a double header, but there were so many people here from the outset of this game to watch what's been a thrilling contest between two really good teams.
Yeah, and the fact that we've got fantastic infrastructure now at the home of the Matildas here in Victoria, that can be a premium host for important fixtures like today.
A header from Liv Edwards, not exactly what she would have liked, and they are able to clean it up in the end. Janczewski, she's not going to give up on this game, and neither are any of her teammates. Coming off a losing grand final last season with Bulleen losing to South Melbourne. She wouldn't like that to happen once again. It's been so good for Heidelberg since coming here. That midway point, her, Sarah O'Donoghue, Maumi Ambo have been so pivotal to the turnaround of this team, but also the players who were there from the start, like Mayata, really upped the level of play. Vlahopoulos through to Lockhart. She going to get her feet untangled. Keely Lockhart! And there is the equaliser! Late in this game! She took that ball so well. Worked her way through traffic. So close, but yet so far for Preston. And it's 2-2 here at the home of the Matildas. And we may just be heading into extra time.
We spoke about moments that are going to swing the game, and it's been Keely Lockhart in both halves. She had that penalty call, and Janczewski put it away for Heidelberg to take the lead, and her persistence there was fantastic, and the composure to slot it with the outcoming goalkeeper.
It was Jade Feeks who was beaten by Keely Lockhart, and it was one-on-one up against Charlotte Hay-Horrison. Keely Lockhart has been a fantastic season for her. And it is her 13th goal of the NPL Victoria campaign. And wow, the drama is here. And if you got here early, and if you're joining us now thinking, oh, the men's game's coming, it doesn't matter, because we may just be heading into extra time, or we may get a late winner here at the home of the Matildas. What a drama-filled afternoon. Feeks, Checker. Can they turn it around now? Preston. Can they respond like we saw them do at the early point of this game? Henderson. Nishimura, closely followed by O'Donoghue. Lamont. Henderson once again. Vlahopoulos was in the path to block it. And now, how important is that Liv Edwards challenge to deny Ali Lamont a clear chance just a few minutes earlier? How much bigger does that become now that it's 2-2 here at the home of the Matildas? And it's not over just yet. Janchevsky, you know they want a winner in 90 minutes. Galea. Janchevsky once again continuing her run. Can they win it here at the death? Sending it across, Feeks sends it high, and the wind is really playing a factor in this game. Vlahopoulos. Galea! And just wide. Not just wide, as well wide, but from this angle it looked a lot closer.
Yeah, we spoke about moments, balls being cleared off goal lines. You look at crucial tackles in attacking phases, goalkeepers, their composure, set pieces, it all comes into play, and we obviously sitting here on a knife edge as we go into additional time.
Liv Edwards to deny Ali Lamont. As that was really close to Mia Bailey, had to be quick to react. You think about that Sarah O'Donoghue one, off the line. And Vlamic bumps off one challenge. Bailey had to be alert to the danger. Oscar, probably great time to go to you here. What was the reaction on the bench from Spencer Mield and also from Preston after that equalising goal?
Well, it was really exactly what you think, because it was just total silence from Preston. You could see the heartbreak in each of the players' faces and just elation at the Heidelberg bench. Just to say as well that right after the goal went in, Spencer Mild was straight away telling his team to go back to the back four, and Keely Lockhart, her reward for that goal is moving back to the right full-back position, where of course she did play last week as well.
Kat, what do you make of what Oscar's just told us now in terms of going to a back four from Heidelberg?
Obviously, it's a push to get to the end of this match and then reassess what they can do in extra time.
And two sides who said, two coaches who mentioned there's going to be lots of goals in this game. They haven't been wrong. Over-under was 4.5 goals. So maybe we need one more goal to get the over. But what an afternoon it's been. The sun was out for the start of this game. The sun has dipped away. Got a little bit too scared. There was a lot of danger on the field, a lot of going on. And Mayata, she wants to make an impact in this game. What can she do? Finds Barrero out wide. And Johnson clears it. Janchevsky. Tanaka. Lamont once again battling with Liv Edwards, as Molly Mae Ramsey just couldn't get that metre ahead of Liv Edwards, who's been really good since coming on.
Yeah, certainly she's been obviously chosen to do a role, and she's certainly impacted with some really intensive pressure on that front couple of strikers in Preston. She's trying to keep Lamont quiet, but it's been an interesting battle. But that persistent from Lamont is given Preston a set piece here, and you know what we've said about set pieces so far.
They've been crucial. Nishimura, that ball sitting high up in the air, and it was actually never went into play. That's that wind we're talking about. It's really, really intense. We're up here in the commentary booth, and we can feel it. I feel like I'm in a little bit of a storm at the moment.
Yeah, the game started with some beautiful sunshine, as you said, and the wind's certainly starting to pick up, and it does play, those types of conditions does play a part on the match, and you can see there the execution of set pieces, not getting that opportunity to get the ball in the box.
Kat, I wonder, obviously now you get into extra time, do coaches revert back to what their start of the game tactics were, that they thought this was going to win us the game, or how do you go about heading into extra time? What changes do you make? We'll come back to that as Marmy Ambo is trying to spur her side on. Ambo sends it across. Vlahopoulos! Wide of goal.
Before they take this set piece, I believe it's a corner, yes. Look, the coaching staff would have gone through a lot of those what-if scenarios. They would have had those opportunities to apply that in their tactical sessions throughout the weeks. But where they make their money is making those big decisions in the moment, and they'll obviously see what they have on the bench perhaps to make those change or what they've seen in the match so far.
Certainly. And now, Alana Janczewski. That ball is curling beautifully. Ray Horrison was underneath, punched it away. Ambo keeping it in the box. Not dealt with just yet. O'Donoghue still in there they go. Cleared out, but only as far as Barrero, who just takes a strike. Barrero! And what a save from Charlotte Hay Horrison. She needed to stand tall in that moment, and she knocked it over the crossbar. Wow.
You can see it getting recognition by your teammates. They've obviously seen it a bit closer than what we do, so it's certainly, again, another huge moment in this grand final.
Janczewski, can she put her Horace under pressure? This one doesn't get past the near post, but it slips to the back. Still bubbling around, headed in! And there it is! I believe it's Marmy Ambo, who may have just scored the winner for Heidelberg here at the death. What an effort! Wasn't dealt with by Preston, but Ambo was there. One of those mid-season acquisitions proving to be pivotal when it matters most.
And that's it, you've just said it there, when it matters most. And there was opportunity there for Preston to clear it, making first contact. Unfortunately, it's actually been miskicked, and Heidelberg have had another bite at it, and make no mistake, it's in the back of the net.
And that is Marmy Ambo. Wow. 5 goals now to her name this season, and none more important than this moment right here for Preston. Wow. They were so close before that equaliser from Keely Lockhart, and you can see Steph Galea out there waving her hands in the air. This club has not won a championship since 2007, and now in 2024 they are NPL Victoria Women's Champions, coming from behind to deny Preston Lions, who thought they had it won. What a turnaround from this team, from this coaching staff. Sven Samild coming in at the midway point of the season, turned this season around. It was a locker room that wasn't pleased. They weren't happy. There wasn't any excitement. But Sven has come in, brought that excitement back, brought players in who have cared and have mattered. And at the biggest moment, they have stood tall here at the home of the Matildas. And Heidelberg United are champions of the NPL Victoria competition for the first time.
Yeah, unfortunately for Preston, it's a story of what could have been. So many moments. Critically, the coach sending off. What role did that play in the back half of this game? You can see him down with some of his players already. Look, they'll rebuild. They will go again. They didn't make 2 grand finals in both the Nike Cup and the league for no reason. Heidelberg, what a story to have a coach change throughout this season, to realign probably some values and some cultural issues, but perhaps that was the right person, the right move, and that's paid off in huge dividends today.
It's phenomenal. They're only their second time in the finals campaign, the NPL era. They did it the first time 2 years ago. They fell to Bulleen. And now here against this Preston side who have been really, really good this season. They fall short, but wow, what a season they've had to make 2 finals after only 2 seasons in the NPL competition. Dan Foden and his side must be disappointed, but they should take so much encouragement that they've come so far in such a short period of time.
Absolutely, and you just spoke to Heidelberg's record there in finals, losing one previously, Preston obviously 2 this year. That's only going to build character, that's going to bring experience to these players, and for both clubs it'll be about establishing the retention strategy, keeping these players together to keep this project going in both camps.
And we see this massive circle here, and that's what it's been about for Heidelberg. They have been together, they've supported each other, and you've got to just take a moment to think of players like Steph Galea, who have been at Heidelberg for so long, have invested so much time and energy in not only being good footballers, but being good people. And wow, what a moment for them.
Yeah, I dare say that, wins get forgotten along the way, but I don't think this one for Heidelberg or for us up here in the commentary box. It certainly had very memorable moments, but it's the teammates, it's the connections that you make, and at such a family-driven club, someone like Steph Galea is the absolute glue in that place, and this is a reward for her and so many people that would have supported her on the journey and all of her teammates.
Yeah, and you can see in there the passion, the energy, talking there, so many people there, and it's not just the players, who go out there, it's their family members who support them. It's the club, it's the board, it's so much more than the people on the field, but obviously they do so much and they deserve this so much.
Absolutely, I think it's the pinnacle reward. We've just mentioned that, but there's so much more that goes towards it. The connections, the families that are involved, that sense of community. There can only be one winner, as they say. I know it's cliche, but I'm sure there's been plenty of wins along the way for Preston for them to get to this point, to such a special day early on in their NPL journey. But for Heidelberg, that persistence, and we saw that character trait on the pitch with Keely Lockett. I think that was a real standout for me, how she persisted. She got those chances out of nothing, really, and she put her team back into the ascendancy.
Absolutely, and we have Oscar Rutherford down on the pitch, who's going to go and try and see if he can find anybody to chat to. I know there's a big circle there, Oscar, so work your way through that, and then I'm not sure if you'll be able to get a Preston player, but if you can see who you can find potentially down on the touchline. Well, Oscar, I'm going to ask you to go and hunt down Sven and Steph Galea or anybody to see if you can have a quick chat to them. I'm going to ask you to run because I'm watching Oscar Rutherford right now. Nobody can see him, but that's slight stroll. And he's found Sven Samil. See if we can have... Well, let's chat to Sven. Oscar, how's Sven feeling in this game?
Sven, have a chat with us. I mean, unbelievable, turning it around in the last couple of minutes as you did. How are you feeling right now?
Listen, it is just pure reward for these amazing footballers. These girls are just... I can't even describe them. They're just amazing, and what a reward for Stephanie Galea. What a reward for, the whole club, and from the mascots who turned up to everyone. I couldn't be prouder of each and every one of them. We never doubted ourselves, and we've got rewarded, and it's brilliant. And listen, I've run out of words. This is just amazing.
It means a lot to everyone, but I saw particularly, obviously, Steph Galea. I mean, the huge...
Listen, I think she and I have cried all week, and we play with emotion. We do everything for each other, and we've been rewarded. So, listen, all in all, we're going to enjoy this. I can tell you, Oscar, I can tell you that we will enjoy this because everything in life that's hard-earned comes with great reward, and today we've got such amazing reward, and it's great.
Look, Sven, congratulations. I mean, for you personally, the turnaround this season, you've come in a fairy tale.
Listen, Dennis, my main man, he's been awesome. Joe, it's the whole lot. It's everyone. I just can't thank people enough. And I didn't realise this week I knew so many people because I got so many text messages, phone calls, people just being so positive, so overwhelmingly just generous with their comments. And to everyone who reached out, to everyone who supports Heidelberg, to everyone who's put on the show today, both Preston Lions, FE, the referees, the whole lot. What a great spectacle for women's football, Oscar. And I said that to you the other day on the pod. There'll be goals, and listen, what a finish.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations, Fed. Brilliant season. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Oscar, down there on the touchline, and you can hear how passionate he is, and what a moment it is for this club.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me that Heidelberg have really got behind their coach, and you can see that they're playing for each other, and with a man like that at the helm, you can certainly sense that he's got some great leadership qualities, and maybe put Heidelberg out of the brinks of despair with their early start to the season. But like he said, what a reward for so much hard work that goes on behind the scenes to get a club to this point.
Absolutely. But it all finishes here at the home of the Matildas with, it is Heidelberg United who are champions in the end, 4-2, I believe. So it closes out Heidelberg United 4, Preston Lions 2, and we'll head down to the pitch for the presentations. Kat, thank you so much for joining me in the booth. It's been a pleasure to commentate this game with you. And do you have any final words in regards to this game?
No, like they said, that the showcase of women's football, the entertainment that it provides, the quality that we have here in Victoria, it's very exciting. Obviously, there's 3 A-League women's clubs here. What a pathway that's been created for women's football, and it's just great that the support, the investment, the infrastructure is starting to make its way to really showcase the amazing product and the amazing people we have in this game.
Absolutely. So, it wasn't 4-2. See, I'm getting ahead of myself. Finishes 3-2 here at the home of the Matildas. I've been Pure Frimpong. Thank you so much for joining us here in the commentary booth. We'll head down to pitch side for the presentations to see Heidelberg United crowned NPL Victoria 2024 champions.
Thanks, team.
Wasn't it? to. It's my second year in NPL when we made 2 grand finals this year. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get the win. Super proud of the girls, and I said this last time as well. You just hope for next year because we'll come back again. We're going to work harder and we're going to get a trophy. You've achieved so much in such a small amount of time, so big things for you guys, and like always, it's an amazing game between us two, so lucky and all the best for next season. Secondly, my girls, you see me exactly every single day. I'm so proud of each and every single one of you. You stuck together through the most